Good evening, Chris. How are you doing this evening?
Hello, I am fine, thank you. Can you hear me all right?
I can hear you. Your sound is perfect. How are you this evening?
Yes, excellent, thank you. This is my first podcast, so
Are you excited to be on Paranormal Radio?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Just hope my technology holds up. That's all.
Watch any prior radio shows before agreeing to come on to Paranormal Radio?
No,
Then you will
I
be
didn't.
pleased to know that there will be many surprises in this show. Are you excited for that?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Let's see what happens.
Well, that's what Paranormal Radio is about. It's about delivering surprises and just being about yourself, as there's no right or wrong answer. But, Chris, are we ready to get started for our Paranormal Radio episode this evening?
Absolutely, let's go.
Are you ready?
Yes.
Great. So, the first question I'll ask you, Chris, is how did you get into paranormal? Explain a bit about that.
Well, ever since I was single digits and at primary school, that's as far back as I remember starting my first ghost gang in the playground. And I found two or three other like-minded kids and we got talking. And I remember already being into it when I was that young. We're talking like 6, I think, and discussing books we'd maybe read in the libraries and stuff. And I don't know whether that came first or an experience that I had at the house I was living in. So that started it, my obsession / something that has stayed with me forever. And then I actually followed programs and books throughout my life up until 2010, where I went on my first actual ghost hunt with another team and thought, yes, I'm going to disprove this. I'm actually going to show that it's just paranoia or it's seeing shadows where there aren't any. You know, I was passionate about it, but thought, let's be honest, it's nonsense. And I wanted to prove it. Although I was right on the fence of, hey, maybe I'll see something that will show me there is paranormal going on out there. So yeah, just that journey, I thought by then I thought I'm going to make or break here. But as a kid, yes, I don't remember not being obsessed with it. My cousin showed me a book that many ghost hunters cite as being their first glimpse into that world. And it came in children's libraries and things. It's called Supernatural World, and it had werewolves, vampires in one section, ghosts and all that things in a second, and then UFOs and all sorts of psychic powers and stuff. But so I just absorbed this book, and everybody did in the school, really. But I remember my cousin had it, and I think I would have killed him if he hadn't lent me it. I said, "Can you lend me this book? I need to look at it. I need to have it and absorb it." And luckily, he lent me it, so I didn't have to kill him.
With paranormal, you can take it in too many different directions. I mean, you can take it to Bigfoot. You can take it to different sorts of areas. You don't have to stick to that one path because paranormal lights the pathway, doesn't it? You can turn left, you can turn right, you can turn back on yourself because, you know, paranormal isn't by the book, is by with the flow of things. So that's what you remember. I mean, when you go into the paranormal field, you've got to know if your passion is there at the early stage, you know, whether you're researching it, whether you're consuming book knowledge, whether you're consuming TV knowledge. You've got to work out yourself if paranormal is the right focus for you, because if it's not and you're doing it because it's a popular trend, you won't be in it for the right reason. So it's all about distinguishing whether, you know, your heart is set for paranormal or it's just one of those trends you want to get into.
Yeah, like you say, I knuckle down on ghosts. That was my main thing. I thought, you know, I need to prove whether there is life after death, and yeah, very much an obsession, really. So yeah, that's what I've done in my later life. I thought, this is it. I'm either going to do it now or never. And past 11 years, that's what I've done. And finally, I am now a believer rather than a skeptic.
But looking back then, you know, as you gave your brief insight about getting into paranormal as an obsession, you must have watched a lot of TV programs. I think, I know a bit about paranormal already, but I'm just going to dive in a bit more and dive in a bit more until I carry on that pathway in, that knowledge, building up your knowledge base. So it's all about getting into it at an early start and think, I could be fascinated by this subject.
Yeah, on the TV programs that was through my childhood was always from a scientific point of view. There was no programs saying ghosts existed. They tantalized the question, do ghosts exist? And then said, probably not. You're talking Arthur C. Clarke, Omnibus. These were all the sort of BBC straight-laced intelligent programs, and they would never go as far as to say, hey, look at this footage. We've all got social media now. There's billions of photos and videos of paranormal. Back then, there wasn't any of that. There was maybe a photograph.
It's a question I would like to ask you then. How did you think paranormal existed? Because it's a really interesting point to make, because without social media, you ain't going to, boost your media content. You ain't going to distribute it worldwide or international. So it makes you wonder, doesn't it? How did paranormal create itself back then, and rather than on a wider scale today? Because social media makes it so easy and so instant. You can just tap a button and that's sharing worldwide, sharing to many users. But before social media existed, it had to be like an old school sort of method, didn't it? So how did you think it existed back then?
I think it was literally word of mouth, and there were certain photographs that made the media, and they remain famous now. I mean, you just got to look at Loch Ness or Bigfoot. There are key images that everyone's aware of because that's how it spread. You have investigators like Maurice Grosse doing the Enfield poltergeist, and it wasn't until it hit the media that everybody knew. So people were doing it. Look at Harry Price doing the Borley Rectory. He was one of my heroes as a young kid. I remember reading accounts and thinking, this guy's got a job doing this, and I just couldn't believe there was that occupation. Now, it literally, if I'm doing it, anyone can do it.
There's Ghost Adventures as well, isn't it? Ghost Adventures was one of the popular ones. But I personally don't think paranormal's been mentioned in the wider media as much as it should be. And I think that's where paranormal isn't where the popularity is with the widespread and the international television and broadcasters, because what they don't do is, as broadcasting companies, they don't showcase paranormal as such, but they will showcase any of the breaking news. And I don't think that's fair, isn't it? Because paranormal is now at its popular height, and it's just not widespread enough for the media to grab hold of it. You think I should really showcase these on our channels, so it makes you wonder why that haven't yet been done.
Well, the problem with media, TV media, is that to get a second series, you have to make a good first series. To get a third, fourth series, you have to not let the audience down. And I think the pressure of trying to rush for that next contract will make you do almost anything. It's just even in the edit, I'm not even going as far as saying fake. I'm just saying that if you edit your videos to a bang that you even discounted and you have some people reaction jumping, you put those together and you're guaranteed an audience to enjoy it. So yeah, I think the television programs that we've had present possibly a bad aspect of the paranormal, that it spreads myths. I would say Orbs, in my opinion, were put forward by Most Haunted, and I jumped on board watching Most Haunted thinking, look at that, that's amazing. Is that a spirit? However, now I think most people would say, oh no, it's just dust. We've all learned. That's my view. I know there are people out there, I don't know your thoughts.
Thing is, what I generally like now, though, paranormal's getting more widespread as the days go on, and more people are getting involved in it and creating their content and distributing it. That's what I like, because everyone is getting on board with the paranormal. Everyone might not like the paranormal. Everyone just want to watch paranormal shows. It is up to their preferences. But it's just good, isn't it, from your point of view, that you can just go on YouTube and you can find dozens and dozens and dozens of channels that does paranormal content, and it's astonishing. I mean, it's a heart-touching subject, and it's good that everyone is expressing their thoughts, their views, their passion in their own unique ways as well, isn't it? That's what really counts.
Yeah, I mean, when people say, well, why don't we just, if a ghost appeared in front of us, then that'd prove it. You have thousands of people who will say, we went investigating, we saw something. And it only works for you until you've convinced every single person in the world by them seeing their own thing. Me telling you 10 stories will not affect your belief system. You can't spread a belief system by just saying, hey, I saw this thing, especially when you're talking about a fantastical thing. And I'm talking from a skeptic who was skeptical for 40 odd years and only just turned a corner within the past 2 years to, right, now I've had my experiences that I personally know ghosts exist. Although I will say 99.9%, because the thing, I cannot categorically say that what I witnessed was a spirit, can I? I can only say auditory or visually. If I see something weird, doesn't mean it's a ghost. It means I've categorized it as a ghost, but I can't.
The ghost, Chris, what's your feelings then when it comes to creators that are going out of their way and not making it ethical, not making it truthful? What's your view on that? Because I personally would be very disappointed, very annoyed, and very mortified because they can spend a bit more time in what they're doing in making it realistic rather than making it unethical or basically just making it a mockery. You know, what's your views on that?
Well, obviously, being a ghost video maker, I, as much as anyone, will get people saying, "Oh, well, that footage is faked." It's the knee-jerk reaction. But I would always say that if I was faking something, the only reward would be to see the look on your face as you heard this fantastical story, what was a lie. Okay, let's say that I enjoyed that for a day or two. Would I be doing it for 11 years? Would I give up my time and energy just for you to believe my lie? Do you know what I mean? So how many?
Yeah, I see, because, you know, when you got to build a community to start off with, haven't you? And you're building that community for the right way. But then when that fame takes its hold, you then start to neglect about why you started doing the paranormal and when you first started it. You know, you tend to neglect that way, that shape of mind, because you think more about the figures, more about the viewership, more about, you know, is your content getting enough views, statistics, and all the rest of it. I mean, I personally think if you build up that community for the right reasons, keep at it for the right reasons. If you feel that you want to do it for entertainment as you go, with your content journey, just inform those viewers, because then they can switch off, because most people would be very devastated that they are watching something that's not even genuine, and they can switch on to channels that are doing it for the right reasons, and they can learn from that rather than learn from creators that's, you know, going on a downfall spiral, if you know what I mean.
I don't think an audience would watch it for entertainment. If you put a ghost show on and said, by the way, none of this is real, I don't think you'd get a viewer.
But it's good to advise the viewers, isn't it? I mean, it's all about advisory, thinking that if they are going to be watching it, it's not real and ethical evidence that they're capturing. It's more about just doing it because that's where my passion is with the paranormal or something like that. Or you can just switch off when it's deemed entertainment and watch real ethical channels like yourself and many others are doing paranormal for the right reasons and for the right causes.
Yeah, but it's hard to say, isn't it? If I got £1 million to make a series, I like to think that I would make boring episodes. I would make the real episode. No matter what happened, I'd make you what happened. And a lot of the time, it's like fishing. You know, how long would you watch?
It's just good, isn't it? Just respect the audience, respect the community you've built up as a creator, and then inform them. You know, we started doing paranormal for the right reasons, but now we're just going to take it in a different route. It's nothing wrong with that, though. It's just about informing, and I find informing is the best way, because then people don't have to say, "Oh, is that really real at that timestamp in this video? Is that really real?" You know, is putting the doubts from their mind, knowing that it is like entertainment, like a prankster. You know, they might start doing real pranks, and then as they go along with their journey, they might do it for entertainment. They might even stage them. You know, it's the same way with the paranormal. If you build up a community, keep that community going. But if you are changing your route in the content, just inform. And that's all I can really say.
Yeah, if you have a community at all, then they're people who end up knowing you as a person. People who watch your radio show will be familiar with you as a person, and they'll hear your views and have an outline of, oh yeah, he believes what he says. He's not acting. You know what I mean? So the people who are our best followers will be like, hey, if they say that happened to them, that happened to them. You know, that they're your loyal people, aren't they? But other than that,
I'm an urban explorer by content creator, but I do the interviews because I this is my thought on it. You might have a different view, but that's why it's called a radio show. You know, you are entitled to opinions, and anyone that's watching this live and on replay can also have theirs as well. But all we do ask, as I'm sure you would ask as well, is just be respectful within those opinions. You know, because it's no good spreading hate when you could spread love and just give, you know, what is respectful feedback, as you know what I mean. But yeah, this is my view though. I mean, urban explorations and paranormal investigators are close together because myself is going there to film what I see, and yourself and many other paranormal investigators are going there to investigate. So me doing the paranormal interviews will give our viewers those choices. If they have got beliefs in the paranormal, they can ask yourself and many other guests that I interview those questions, and then it gives you a bit of publicity, and it gives me that you know, that chance to release content that's different from my main piece, if you know what I mean. It's a different content outlet as well, isn't it?
Yes. So you follow the Urbexing Trail, and are you in it for the history as well as?
I'm in there. I do document what I see, and I also document the history. I decided to make it members only.
Yeah. And so does that come with dangers, either paranormal or, you know, if you fell through a floorboard?
Well, there were also dangerous explore that I did come across, but you know, you would know what you're stumbling across anyway. You know, you just got to have your eyes everywhere, because what you don't want to do is trip over and land 10 foot under and cause yourself a horrific injury. But yeah, there was some dangerous explorers I came across, but that's just how urban explorers are. I mean, you ain't gonna go on a nice and tidy place, are you? Because that's not what urban exploration is. Because you're gonna come across derelict buildings, you're gonna come across hazardous buildings. So it's really important that if you are doing urban explorer or want to go into urban exploration, that you do take in its dangers. But other than that, it's good. It's really good.
I understand, yeah, you go into dilapidated buildings, but I guess I would always look at a creepier place where many people would say, God, I wouldn't go in there. And that will be where you could say that's dangerous. I would choose the more dangerous, darkened doors, yeah. Yeah, so I suppose it comes with the territory, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. But it's just another way, isn't it? I mean, if you can do both paranormal and urban explorations.
Yeah.
But if people might have, you know, urban exploration, that does sound cool. It is cool, but what I do advise is you just gotta have time and patience. Because with urban exploration, you're not going to get a place every 5 minutes of every day. If it was, everyone would be thinking, oh, this is really easy. It's not easy by any means, but I think that's where time and patience come into it. Because when you have that patience, you know, you can find places, but it just comes to that time. And if you've got that passion within that urban exploration, because if you don't and you get bored, you think, oh, I've done an hour now of research, I'm not getting anywhere. That's not the right frame of mind you need with the urban exploration. You need to have that ability where you can spend 5 hours just by researching places. You know, it'd be great to have a jackpot, but it's not guaranteed, and that's what you got to bear in mind.
Yeah. So have you had any weird encounters while you've been exploring on your own?
I wouldn't say weird as such. I mean, the videos that I've done, but there again, I wouldn't notice if there was any weird encounters, because then that's where that audience that I'd gain on the videos, that's where they gotta let me know. You know, I just seen something weird at this timestamp, and I'll be going over and thinking, oh, this is true, and then I would be, you know, reacting to that then, because I'm just there to document, if you know what I mean. But bear in mind though, paranormal investigators, that's where it ups the ante a bit, because they're there then all night. So they don't have to worry about time or anything like that, because documenting what you see and hear isn't going to take 5 minutes. So
No,
with a paranormal
absolutely.
investigation, it's the same as urban exploration. You're there to capture activity. I'm there to capture what I see. So do you see what I mean? It is a together knit sort of community, but in a different angle.
Yeah, they totally overlap. I mean, I've only been to a few places because of urbexes have said, "Hey, come here, it's cool." Yeah, I wouldn't have known about them because it's off the beaten path, isn't it?
It is.
You know, the beautiful places, dilapidated farmhouses, and old mills that I would never have dared set foot in. But someone's like, "Yeah, we've been in, it's safe," and yeah, beautiful gems. Where are you working in then? What part of the UK?
I'm from Swansea.
Okay. So do you ever find like evidence of sort of, devil worship in these places? Like kids like to scroll satanic symbols on empty buildings. Do you come across that?
That's quite an interesting point, and I can't say I have. That's the
Oh, that's
thing.
good.
I mean, I can't say I've come across anything haunted or scary or, or something that will, make me bite my tongue, of nervousness. It's something I can't guarantee I've seen. But that's that's where yourself, Chris, would watch the videos and think, I've really caught something here that Tom, myself, haven't really captured on camera. Then I'll be like, oh, what was that? And then in the comments, I will go to that timestamp where you've narrated and look at that point and think, and I would be astonished by my own capture.
Yeah. Well, I generally am very hard to please on watching footage back. Our own lives, I'm talking about, when our audience will show pictures afterwards. And it's generally stains in the wall, like this wood things that in the dark, it looks like when you have a coat up in the back of your room, it looks like someone stood there, but it isn't. I am so ruthless with that because I'm there on the spot and I'm seeing what they're not seeing. Generally, you're the person who would be seeing the things for real. The way that the dust flies across the camera in the room at the time, you can see it all the time, but the viewers only get a glimpse when certain angles play out. Yeah, so like I say, I've got a very high bar of that is a spirit or that is interesting. So yeah, so don't invite me because I'd probably
Chris, when you go into paranormal, then when you went into paranormal, did you seek any advice then from family and friends? Thinking, I am going to go into the paranormal field, I think. Did they give you strong advice? I think, I don't think that's a very good idea.
I haven't had a single comment off my family. I am the only one who was obsessed since childhood, and therefore I'm the only one who knows anything about it. They would ask me, do you remember, are you old enough to remember Ghost Watch, what was on the BBC? And it ended up being a prank. It was a ghost show that was winding up the UK. And it was filmed as if it was a live event. And it terrified a nation. The newspapers the next day, everyone thought it was real because it had Michael Parkinson on, Sarah Green. It were real people pranking us. And I was probably 10 years old. And when I watched it, I could tell that the children were actors, and a lot of the evidence they were giving, I could pick holes in at 10. And I ran upstairs to my mother and said, this program I'm watching, it's absolute lie. And I know it's the BBC, but I don't believe any of it. And yet thousands of people the next day were adults, had been taken in by it. And I was not going to be hoodwinked. So yeah, I, at 10, was the professional in my family. So no advice. I think there's a lot of non-believers in my family.
If they probably watch, like, say, horror movies then, or thriller movies, they think, this is more or less how paranormal is, but more of a fiction sort of way to describe paranormal. So if they watch, like, thrillers and movies and stuff like that, I think, Chris, I don't agree you should be in this paranormal field because, it might make you scared. It might give you nightmares. So the reason why I was asking that is because, the first thing everyone does, you think, I've watched some really good thriller movies, and then you could be watching some YouTubers, And then you could say, you know what, that could be for me, paranormal content. That could be for me making it and distributing it. So it's also good just having some strong words of advice from your family and friends and anyone that's close to you, because then that could either give you that initiative, thinking, you know, they're giving me some encouragement to do it. They could be saying, you know, I don't think that's a good idea because, and then that reason and this reason. So it's all about just having that third party view on that as well, isn't it? That's what really is important.
Unless the view is you should never touch a Ouija board because I've never done it myself, but you know they bring demons and stuff, and it's all hearsay from watching Hollywood, you know.
Carla, good evening. It was really scary. I'm guessing it was really scary.
So yeah, I would, yeah, the advice might be good if it comes from someone who knows what they're talking about.
Yeah,
you know, but yeah, obviously, no, I didn't get any sort of input. No, I was headstrong, knew what I was doing, and had like-minded
you knew you had that passion, that ability. You think, you know, I'm going to make my own choices, and I'm just going to let this paranormal take me in whatever direction it does. You know, I'm not open for any goals or targets. It just is what it is, sort of policy.
Yeah, it was open your arms, try everything you've seen on TV, because like you say, you're not educated in it, doing it. All you have is what you've seen. And so I would say, well, I'll take what I've seen and what the rules are supposedly. Like I remember it being ghosts are afraid of the light. And so one of the first things I did was, well, let's do ghost hunting with the lights on then, and see what happens. And the Ouija board would move anyway, or noises would happen. It just become a myth. And it was like, well, I will try anything now. So we'd use protection to start, because that was the done thing. I was indoctrinated. You always do protection, religious or not. And so I'd do it out of that's what you do. But then I say to everyone, let's not do protection. What happens when you don't? And so no matter what it was, I would try on and off. You know, I was open to trying anything. And rather than, I would be told what to try first, and then I would vary results, you know. I was, yeah, open to anything, basically. I try to be like that now, but I do have some views on certain things not working, what people try. But I have to kick myself, and my team kick me and say, come on, Chris, you haven't tried it, so we should try it, you know.
Here's a good
That's why I
question
haven't.
then, Chris, you know, because you know, as you said, he went into paranormal by obsession, and he was watching some really good shows on that then. If there was a budget then of £50, now this is just going back to when you were starting out paranormal yourself, when you was first touching stones with it. If there was a budget of £50, what would be that priority that you can't simply buy without?
I would say the first thing I would buy wouldn't be a camera. It would probably be a dictaphone. And I would say, because I was obsessed with recording everything we did, recording the 2 or 3 hours, and then I would dictate the events. And upon dictation, I would add on what my thoughts were about the breezes or the knocks that people heard. And I'm so glad I did that, because I log those write-ups on my website now. And so as years go by, you can look back, and I remember exactly what was spelt out, exactly how the knocks and breezes sounded and felt. So that was important to me, to capture for prosperity whatever happened, rather than the way that memories changed them in the telling. Yeah.
So as a beginner then, you would just recommend a dictaphone. You wouldn't recommend, you know, it's just about documenting what you hear then, if that's sort of the route you want to go down in for a beginner. If a beginner was starting to go into paranormal, the first thing you would do first and foremost then is buy a dictaphone and just record what you hear rather than record what you see.
Well, nowadays you have 2 bits of kit in one. You've got your torch on your phone, and you've got a voice recorder on your phone. So that's done straight away. You don't need the 50 quid. Okay, that's in your pocket all the time. So after that, I would buy a meter. I would buy an electrical external meter from your phone, because the phones are just apps. They're programmed to play for you. Yeah, I'd buy I don't have one to hand, but a K2 meter, which is flashing green lights. And that is what you use, not for ghost hunting first and foremost. You use it for looking for electronics around your house. So that has a real function. It works independently of ghosts to start with.
Interesting
So that's
view there, because most investigators would say, "Oh, you've got to buy a K2 meter. You got to buy those balls thing. I can't think what they are now. Those balls where you, I think it's bang them or something like that. Cat balls or something like that.
Yeah,
I'm not
I know what you mean.
with those. But yeah, so most guests would say, "Oh, you need to buy a K2 meter. You need to buy this and that." So hearing your views, because as your views will be different to many others I've interviewed. It's quite different, your different equipment, your different view in general, because most people say you can't just investigate without a K2 meter, but most people say, oh, you've got to investigate with a K2 meter. So it's just good to have a balance of probabilities as well, isn't it? Because most guests would say K2 meter, and you said a dictaphone. Other guests would say one of those spring balls or something like that. So it's really different to get your personal view, because that's what really matters.
Well, I can put it a better way, right? If I have a K2 or a Gauss meter or whatever, anything, even the cat balls, all I come away with those pieces of evidence is hearsay. Me saying to you, oh, I can't believe it. The cat balls flashed. The cat balls rolled around the floor, okay? The K2 and Gauss went off. It's hearsay. If I've recorded it, I can play you it. And you can hear the noises. You can hear machines going off and our reaction. Surely that is worth much more than things that could have been the wind, It
depends what sort of investigation you wanted to do as well, isn't it? It depends on that scale. If you was a beginner and this is your first Revy investigation, you tend to improve, don't you, as the investigations develop?
Oh, yeah.
From when you first started, from your first investigation, you got to practice, haven't you? You've got to practice getting these different bits and pieces within that price band, because it's important not to spend, £1,000 at a beginner's level, because you can get all the gear within that budget. But beginner level, you got to think within a beginner's sort of frame of mind, because they're not going to get £1,000 like that, when they want to do a first investigation. So it's all about having something smaller in mind and thinking, what is the priority? And it's good to hear your view on that.
So if I was properly starting out, and I'm 17, I'm 18, and I say to my mates, let's go out tonight and search for ghosts. Torch, a foldable table for like £20, and you write either yes or no on it, and have a little glass. Done, right? You can communicate like that. Just have it. That's probably a safer option than going straight Ouija board. You just put a glass on a tabletop.
It's like a basic operation as well. That's what really matters. Having a basic set of kit, basic set of uses, and it's just about using it and not being, oh, I can't use this. I need the instructions. It's all about just having an easy free flow and just let it all become as it is on that night. So yeah, that's pretty interesting there, though, Chris. It's really good to hear your view on that price band question in mind. But who came up with the branding then? So White House Investigations. Who came up with that branding? Because I gotta be honest, it's very unique, and that is the checklist.
Terrible. It's a terrible name, and I'll tell you
a good name.
I'll tell you the genesis. So coming up with a ghost name, my first team in 2011, I called Otherworld Investigations purely because everybody else was town name paranormal or most haunted town name, So you would be Swansea Paranormal or whatever. And it's like, come on, we've got what other words are for ghostly? I ended up coming up with Otherworld because I thought otherworldly. Then I was like, what am I doing? I'm investigating. I'm trying to be logical. I'm investigating the paranormal. So I ended up with Otherworld Investigations. So that's where the investigations came from. And then later on, like 5 or 6 years later, when I started my second team, this team, which is the same team, really, it just morphed. I rebranded it White House Investigations. I put myself on it thinking, hey, I've been in it a few years. It's my thing. It's my, put my name on it.
Chris, I bet you had to have a can of actual Pepsi to make you think of these luxurious names, because I got to be honest, I was in your shoes years ago thinking of a name. It's very unique, I got to be honest, but I've changed it since then, and that name now is the one that's going to be staying. But I could actually feel for you, though. I mean, you could spend hours and hours, when you're on social media, what I'm going to name my group, what I'm going to name the branding, what I'm going to name everything. So it can be very, very migraine, give you a very good migraine.
Yeah.
But all you got to remember is when you don't think about it, it'll come to you.
And don't stress about it, I don't say don't stress. Even if you called, it doesn't matter. If you called yourself Cheesecake and you're a paranormal outfit, if you're good enough at what you do, people will go, Cheesecake, is that the ghost team? They'll have heard of you. It doesn't matter. Don't sweat it.
It doesn't really matter about the branding, does it, Chris? I mean, that's your conclusion. No. It doesn't matter whether you call yourself Easy Paranormal UK or Easy Paranormal Los Angeles.
No,
it matters what you're giving out to the viewers. That's what you think.
It's what you are in other people's heads. Hopefully, they see you and think of the product that you provide.
Interesting view there. But what are your top tips then, Chris? We did talk about it, with equipment and how you got into paranormal. When you was a beginner then, what tips can you now suggest to the people that are wanting to go into paranormal but are afraid to openly tell their parents, I think I'm going to go into paranormal? What are your top tips for them alone? You're thinking, if you go into the paranormal, what's your views? What's your tips?
Yeah, my tip would be to probably do a protection. Now that means if you are religious, maybe you could sort of say a prayer. You need to do something before you start, like a doorway, like a gate, so that when you are done investigating, you can walk back through that door, take off the protection, and say, okay, I am now switched off from it. Spirits cannot affect me. A lot of people watch ghost programs and they think that they open up their mind to the spirit world. And in a way, I think they do. So you need to close it off. That's what I would do, because you will get home and something will fall over and make you jump. And then the first thing you will think is, a ghost has followed me home. So you need a psychological crutch, a switch off of, no, it hasn't, because I did protection. I said the prayer. I blessed myself. You need an opener, a little, I always say this at the beginning, and then you need a closer. That's what I would say, because the psychological damage you could do if you're absolutely terrified, you get what you're asking for. Yeah, you need to be able to put a shield up. That's my best thing.
Well, thank you there, Chris, for giving out your special tips for beginners, because the beginners, though, Chris, you got to be honest. I mean, when you start out, they're going to be thinking, what tips can people give me? I'm new to this and I haven't got a clue. Giving your tips and many others I interview, it's what makes them give him that euphoria. I think, this isn't bad now that I got some sort of advice to keep me going in this paranormal field. It's all about just acknowledge and delivering some tips and tricks to help beginners get onto that path of paranormal. And then gradually they'll learn, like you did learn, many other investigators start from the right at the very bottom and themselves will work their way to the top. It's just about having that time, patience, and having an open mindset, because you're not stuck bottom base forever, you, Chris.
No, every investigation you do, you will learn something.
But Chris, do you know what time it is? Do you know what the first prize
time
on the show will be?
No, let's see. Show me, surprise me.
Blast from the past.
Okay.
Do you know what blast from the past means, Chris?
Is it a look back at something?
Oh, you got there. You did watch some installments. I was going to surprise you. You think, Chris isn't going to know what I'm on about you. But no, Blast from the Past is where we showcase you a video clip and you give us some background information. But before we show you this, what clip are we about to see? What is your first
My guess, you're probably going to show... What would I show? I'd probably show Bingley Cemetery.
Bingley Cemetery. But Chris, it's time to come to that ever so conclusion of Blast from the Past.
Keep touching
Whoa. I just got a... Wow, what the hell is that?
You've got cameras, so maybe you can show yourself in some way.
Got the coolest orb.
However you can do it. Anything like that, and you
Come on. Wow, what the heck is that? Look at it. Can you see it?
Yeah.
What the hell is that? I need to get closer. It's got to be a spider or something. Hang on a minute.
Oh no. Maybe you can make a bang in one of the rooms or not. You can go forward.
Heck. It's like if I lift the camera up. What is that?
You can go forward a bit.
Yeah, but it's right in front of me. It's like if it were floating in front of me. I have no idea what that is.
Well, if that
But
is
it's...
still showing yourself, please do. You are trying to communicate with us, and that's wonderful, and we invite you to do that.
Wow. This is amazing. It just turned into like a thread. Now it's back into a ball.
You're recording this, like,
Yep.
just watching it now.
No, it's recording. Just looked at the time, it were on 11:11. What the hell is that? Okay, if it were a spider, right?
What's phosphorus? What did they use phosphorus for?
Whoa. It's moved.
Keep saying the word phosphorus.
Phosphorus is...
What is it?
So then, Chris, what did we see on screen?
Well, at the time when it was shown that, I said, it's got to be a fly. To me, most of it looks like flying, just normal fly pattern. The only reason I ended up posting that video was because it does seem to interact with him when he holds his finger out. It seems to like come closer and away. Now, flies don't normally take, wasps take interest in you, but flies don't. And then at some point, he thought he said a thread. So I put it up for my teammates' views, really. But I couldn't write it off as a fly, but I wasn't there. I was in another room. I think they were...
It's just good, though, Chris, to document some behind the scenes, if that's how you want to, put it or describe it in that light. Because it gives our viewers, we're not just seeing the real side of the investigation. We're now seeing the cuts, or that's never made it to that main video.
Yes,
it's also good just to either release it, even if you're hesitant. It's all just about thinking the audience might benefit from watching this.
Well, what if it had been a spirit light? And I'd just not shown it? So I made sure in the comments I was like, I still think it's a fly, but I can't say it's a fly because I never got in. I didn't get enough of either. So it's up there because, God forbid, I don't show you something I caught that was interesting.
But Chris, we're going to take a quick break. But before we do you have a favourite song, Chris, that you'd like to listen to? Because this Paranormal Radio and our guests and audience is off our top priority. So is there a song you'd like to listen to on your first commercial break on this Paranormal Radio?
I mean, I don't know what sort of music your library goes to. So I'll give you two options.
It depends, Chris. What are your tastes in music?
I like alternative rock, things like Smashing Pumpkins. Things like our. Failing that, Depeche Mode is a much more traditional band. Does that fit your remit of music?
Well, we'll definitely play some rock music for you, Chris.
Ah, there we go.
So, do stay alert, Chris, as we return right after the break. Don't go anywhere. Chris, are we ready for part 2 of Paranormal Radio?
Absolutely. Bring it on.
Are you enjoying it?
Yes, I really am enjoying myself. Yeah, it's good fun.
That's good. We got to know that guests are enjoying themselves because it makes
Yeah.
our radio show ever more enjoyable. We like to see guests having a good time being themselves, as that is the main part of Paranormal Radio.
Excellent work.
But Chris, we will continue on with Paranormal Radio. Do you know what the question I'm about to ask you is?
My best evidence?
No. However, that will be coming later in Paranormal Radio.
Okay.
But what are your top 5 recommended places for a paranormal adventure? Now, this is an open question, so it could be graveyards, shopping malls. What are your 5 top places in that area?
I would say that I haven't done my top ones yet. I'm thinking asylums, old hospitals.
Carla have asked, are you a psychic?
It's just asking me, are you? I am not a psychic. I am absolutely not. Are you?
I'm not a psychic either, Carla. I'm an urban explorer. But I do these interviews because it gives yourself a chance to ask any investigators I interview any questions that you may have about the paranormal field. Or even if you want to share your experiences, that would be great as well. That's the whole part of Paranormal Radio is we rely on audience engagement. And that's how these shows goes, isn't it, Chris? You got to have that engagement.
Yeah.
You got to have that live interactivity.
Yes, it does make a difference. I mean, I made a point of just doing it for the team for years. And it was another teammate, Lucy, who is actually known as Paranormal Girl on social media. And she brought me into the 21st century in a lot of ways. And I'd always said...
She gave you some tips, like how to use, the big, wider range of social media.
Yeah, I was just like, I want to share my evidence, but I didn't really want to be a performing monkey either, But yeah, she was like, hey, showed me that people are interested and we do decent work. And it just seems to be the current way things are, doesn't it? It's just life today.
It's like you've got to, know for your better self. Is that if you want to learn the social media operating, is whether you want to get used to the new era of things, rather than doing things the classical way, as I like to name it. Because back in the 90s and 2000s, social media wasn't a thing, and now social media is now everything. A day-to-day life is on the internet. No matter how people might avoid it, it's on the internet, and that's just how day-to-day life is now.
Well, just look at you and I. Look, we didn't probably know that this is where we'd be today. You got your own show, and I do my own thing. And
back 20 years ago, when there wasn't even Facebook or YouTube, these shows just couldn't happen.
No,
you just couldn't. You haven't got that capability to distribute in the way you have now.
No,
and that alone is amazing, because, like I said to you at the start of the show, investigators are spreading the paranormal. They're getting involved in the paranormal. They're doing content from all different parts of the world, and we can watch that from our laptop screens.
Yes, instantly. Yeah, you can give me a notification, and then I've got it.
That's how digital evolved today. It can be quite, 20 years ago, how come we never got these capabilities? But then 20 years later, it's brought to us on a plate. But then when people haven't been brought up with Facebook and Twitter and WhatsApp and all the other social media feeds you can name of, it's like, this could be really something to get used to here. I'm not used to it. I'm used to the classic way. But to be a content creator, you now got to do things differently.
Yeah, I mean, I have got on the books plans to do my own podcast myself, run by my teammates, so there are plans on the table to even go. I'm learning from this experience how to do it and what the possibilities are. So thank you for that.
No, there's no worries. I mean, I myself, I took, the idea of operating these these radio shows from a guest I interviewed, I think it was a year ago. I used to do it on Skype and use broadcasting software. That's how I used to do it. But now I can just use this web browser, share you a link, and you're on here in 5 minutes. Rather than me do it through Skype way, because that could take me up to about 10, 15 minutes. That's how I used to do it, so I can't moan about the fact. But now it makes it so much easier. It's so fluid. It's easy to come on. It's just easy to do everything. And now that you know what I use as a broadcaster, you will now feel the same way as what I do.
Yes, I mean, shout out to the host StreamYard for this, because they're really making it available to everybody, and it works. If this is running on my laptop, which I always moan about, then it's a great service.
I mean, it even goes on your mobile device. I wouldn't really recommend it unless you want to have it compact and on your phone or anything like that. But you can do it on your phones as well. It is a wider and broader way of compatibility. But the thing is, you've got to use StreamYard. You know why? Because it's a little hindrance, as I like to call it. When I used to be, when I was on YouTube 5 years ago, you could use the YouTube built-in app. However, now they've put very, very stringent limitations on that. Right. One of which you've got to wait 24 hours to be activated, but that's just normal procedure. Yeah. And you've got to have a minimum subscriber limit, which I think is about 300, something like that. So to even build a community is difficult to start off with, because if you was like a live streaming channel, like say you was like you are a paranormal channel anyway, but that's just take it in a different format. Say you wanted to live stream everything, that would be a major blow to you, because you couldn't have that functionality. But there are workarounds. But the thing is, it does strain your battery, and that's something which you'll have to take with a pinch of salt, because it's either that or you haven't got that option at all. But that's the thing. I mean, YouTube should be made easily for people, shouldn't it? It should be made an easy service, because YouTube is the most popular streaming service or video provider to date. And now they're taking away what should be features that content creators should have, and without any stringent limitations.
What gets me about YouTube is that when I've got two channels, a different channel to this, but when I do a good video and it gets lots of views, they put adverts on the beginning. Now I'm working up to be allowed to have money from those adverts. I'm not supposed to get any adverts on at all until I reach a certain threshold, which I'm nowhere near. And yet my best videos suddenly have adverts on, and YouTube is pocketing all that money from my content. That's what gets me.
Yeah, that is another good point to make, actually. I mean, I have found that on certain other channels as well. When you watch content and then you instantly saw an advert, and then you look at the channels, like there's nowhere near that amount to even get monetized. How is this possible? Yeah. So I don't know. I don't get that bit. I mean, you've got to work your way up to get monetized, but YouTube is monetizing you in a way that you can't see. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird. But I'm a bit of a YouTube through and through sort of guy at the moment. It's my platform, and I like to make more polished. I mean, more polished than just knocking out live streams which are unedited. In my mind, I'm making TV programs.
What do you think? Live streaming a paranormal investigation, then would that be a great idea for you in general? Because it saves time for you editing the fact, and and doing these audio syncers, raising the volume up on certain bits and all that. Would that save you a bit of time in the long term?
It would save me time, because it's not as good a product. I would rather put out a better product where I had to do 6 hours work on it. And I would rather myself sit down to watch a 40-minute video with all the nothingness taken out than sit through a 2-hour live stream and see them saying what they're going to do in half an hour's time when they've moved on.
So what I'm hearing then is you want to cut out bits that's not deemed relevant to the investigation.
I don't understand why people watch live streams for so long and so weekly, but they do. Maybe it's my age, it's my opinion, because they're
Chris,
popular.
as I said to you when you join Paranormal Radio, there's no right or wrong answer. This is just your chance to express your views in
Yeah.
paranormal in a different light, a different limelight, if you know what I mean. So,
You're
giving
right.
your views, if people are watching weekly live streams, you could be quite confused by the fact, but that's just how it is, isn't it? I mean,
I
you can
understand
express
that
it, you
I'm
can
wrong.
do it.
I'm the person who isn't understanding it. It's not that they're doing it wrong. It's an opinion. I'm like, well, I wouldn't watch it, so I'm not going to put out that stuff.
You don't see the point then of live streaming investigations, but that's
I
your
do.
opinion, Chris.
I
That's what
do
we
see
welcome.
the point. No, I understand the point. It's just that I couldn't personally devote that time to it.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Most people just doesn't live stream in general. They just release videos, and it's up to how they want to perceive distributing their content. Rather than live streaming, releasing just natural content. It's just all about your channel, though, Chris. I mean, it's your channel. It's how you want to operate it. It's how you want to release it to the public. But I just personally think that live stream functionality, I think that is a very great feature to have, if not at a later date anyway.
The people who are live streaming have thousands more viewers, followers than I do. They are so much more successful.
I think the appeal of a live stream is anything could happen. That's the thing. Anything can happen. That's why it's live. It's live and direct from your cameras, and then what we're seeing on your camera is what international viewers will see. So yeah, that anything can happen. That is a massive point on live streams, because when you're doing a video, you're watching a fluid video. That is natural. Don't get me wrong, but when you're doing a live stream, you think, I'm going to end this live stream now. I've been here for an hour and a half. His viewers going to watch from start to end. The minority would, because they don't know what happened in an hour's into that live stream. They might just tuned in, and they might just get a fright. So
yeah,
doing a live stream, which could take 2, it might even take 6, it might even take 8 hours. But genuine viewers wouldn't skip parts of it, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. I have thought about it. I thought, do I just go to cemeteries on my own and start rolling and walk around with my equipment and do it my way? Would that be appealing for people to watch? But I'm a nobody. Nobody. That would mean people would be perhaps tuning in for me, but I don't have enough followers yet for people to say, oh, I'd watch him. They're looking for ghosts, not for the personality. Do you know what I mean? So I need to grow a bit more.
But what I will say to you is, though, Chris, even if you've got 300 subscribers, even if you've got 300 followers on your social media pages, you still got to follow it. That is what matters most. If you've got 5 subscribers and you've been on YouTube for 2 years, you think, my content is not being shared enough. How do I increase the traffic? Yeah. And if you've got like 5 people following you on social media, you'd be wondering yourself on there, how have I only got 5 followers after 2 years? The minority is that you've got to release more. You've got to have more of a wow factor in what you're doing, just to try and reach that engagement. So no matter if you've got 300, 500, 150, you're gaining a following, and that is that main focus.
Yeah, I'm just trying to stay true to who I am, so that if I get bigger than I am, people would be like, "Oh, he is like that. That is him in real life." Do you know what I mean? I could stream every weekend. I could put hours of nothing.
Want the viewers to see how you operate. You just don't want to do something that you don't have a full belief in, if that makes sense.
I have the perfect idea of how I want to do things, and I've always been like that, and that's how it will always be. I'm very controlling. One vision, and I stick to that vision. But I am being led out of my comfort zone, and it's always paid off thanks to my team and the people who follow us. So yes, I am being educated, but I have like a very laser focus on what I think I should do. Maybe that's
Chris, just to let you know as well, I'm just giving you some pointers as well. It is a radio show. I'm not going to demand you got a live stream on a Thursday, you got a live stream on a Friday. If you've got a vision and you want to stick to that vision, then do so.
No, you're right. You're right to to say.
yourself
I mean,
can only tell otherwise. It's just yourself, But
yeah,
me as a broadcaster, I just like to give people pointers, because you might want to think that they're beneficial. You might think they are beneficial at a later date. But it's giving you pointers that you might think, this idea really worked for me, and now that I know about it. So it's just about helping you along the way, along that pathway.
Yeah. I mean, I do want more of a following, so I guess trying new things is good,
Anything's possible, Chris. Anything's possible. Like I said at the start, open mindset. Don't say the book is closed, because the book is only just opened.
Yes.
That's the
true.
right way you want to look at things. But Chris, getting back though to the paranormal radio as such, this is quite a good question I want to ask you though, and it does bring quite a controversial view as well. But what are your views on the Necrophonic app? Now, these are very popular apps on iPhones, smartphones, any phones to date, and that they are designed for entertainment purposes, and they should not be used for investigations. Is your thought, you've got to use Necrophonic apps because they really play a vital part in investigations? Or is it because that if it's entertainment, viewers will think, why are they using a dummy app that says that it will help an investigation, but it make it worse? What are your views on that, from entertainment to your usage?
I have the exact view on that, because my view was it's an app that spits out words. Those words will all be spooky. There won't be, hey, I'm in a really good mood, says the spirits. It'll be death, demon, lost, so they're predisposed to be spooky. So I'm thinking, well, that's going to spit out words and you're just going to interpret what they say. But as I said to you earlier, I will try things. So we took it out in the field, and alongside the Ouija board and the apps said some interesting same words at the exact same time, spelling out on the board. And now I can control the board subconsciously, you can say that, but I can't do it at the same time as my apps say the words. And they even said
it's quite a controversial view, because many people that I've interviewed, Necrophonic app, you haven't got the motor, you haven't got the manufacturing in your phone for it to operate tidy. So it is a controversial view. Should Necrophonics apps play a vital part in investigations? Should it not? It's how you perceive the Necrophonic apps, whether they deliver a key part in your investigations, or whether they play a part where it's, providing your investigation with an inaccurate sort of reading.
Well, we've used Necrophonic in particular, and I've very recently downloaded it myself, because we did have some success with it. In that, are you aware of what Este's method is?
Not that I'm aware of, no.
So if I'm plugged into my phone now with these headphones on, and all I'm doing is blasting Necrophonic into my head, which, if you've ever heard it, is a mixture of no words and some distorted words, okay? And then the rest of the team sit away out of earshot, but I use a baby monitor so that when I'm speaking out, they're hearing at the Ouija board what I'm saying. So there's that disjointed, the Necrophonic person is at one end, and far away is the team on the Ouija board. Now, the team asks out into the ether that you're investigating questions and has an interaction. And I'm just repeating what I make out the words to be. We've had some amazing responses. If it's like, I would say, there's numbers, and then they'd start dishing out 1, 8, 9 comes out of the other person's mouth who can't hear us. It'd even be saying my name. It says Lucy's name. We get words out independently of each other from the app. So I think the app itself does spit out random words. However, I don't know how it works, but there does seem to be some manipulation of what words come out. Or is that just us making sense, out of it, and it's not paranormal? But I think there's something there, and that's why I'll keep doing it.
Do you know my biggest concern then on the Necrophonic apps? I'm not a paranormal investigator myself, and I don't claim to be by any means. But my view is, when it comes to necrophonic applications, if you go onto the Google Play Store or the App Store, a variety of them are free, which is no biggie. You can just install it at your time, whenever you want to, and just delete it if it's not right for you, and then just move on down the list. But the thing is, my biggest concern of them all is when they start in offering a price tag for those digital applications, because if you buy that application, well, you'll have to buy it because there's no other means to use it otherwise. And it doesn't work for you. You've got to go through that hassle of, this app providing me with false data. I don't actually think this is working for my investigation. And then you want to have a refund. You've got to really do that chasing. I'm not a professional expert in that. I don't know if you can get a refund. There might be cases where you can't. There might be cases where you have to progress it. But it's like see what you read or hear or see what you buy sort of policy as well, isn't it? Because if you can't make out what the smaller print says before you buying it, you could be buying a product that isn't good for anyone.
Yes, I totally agree with you. I think they're all a waste of money, really, and I would stay away from them. But because I've tried other things, I'm only going there because I've run out of things to try and it's something new to try. Like I say, I've always wrote them off. I think you should write them off. But
so your advice to anyone that's searching for necrophonic apps and has a $5.50 price tag, your advice is to stay clear of them. Or if you really want to buy them, make sure that you take all the information in and know that if you do buy it, this is how the product will act. But
there's so many free things that you can have before you spend any money that are much better. Get a tabletop, get a marker pen, do a Ouija board and use a cup. That will give you 1,000% better evidence, more interesting things than just words.
The developers, though, are sneaky in how they create their apps, because when you go through the description of how this app will be and what are you getting, they leave probably the vital parts of information out of it. And that's anyone's going to be very annoyed by that. You think, why wasn't this listed? But the minority of it is, you just got to dig in a bit deeper, like go onto YouTube and see if these apps have ever been tried out.
Yeah.
Whether these YouTubers might actually promote it or whether they'll actually give you the real thing, it's down to them, really. But I would be very, very cautious. If you see a $5.50 price tag or even higher for these applications, please be very, very vigilant, because if you do buy it and it end up not good for you, you would have to go through a lengthy process if it is to get a refund. So please be very vigilant on those price tag applications, because nobody wants to buy something that doesn't work, Chris. Like you're saying, if you buy something from a shop, you can just take it back to the shop with a receipt and then you can just have your money back. Yeah. But on the digital market, that actually might be a different way of getting a refund, isn't it?
I could make an app better than Necrophonic because I know what I expect from the evidence. So, yeah, I could make loads of money off it, I reckon, because I know that I'm a sucker like everyone else who would always be looking and thinking, shall I, shan't I? Shall I get it? And eventually you get it, don't you? Because you're into the spirits and someone else has it. It's money-making business. I think whenever money's in the paranormal, that it brings me a very sad feeling of, well, now it's a product. Now you've paid money. They owe you something, which is why I don't charge for anything public, which I don't really do public things, but I've done free seances 2 or 3 times. And pretty much no one shows up because they think, a free seance? Well, it can't be right good if you're not paying. And yet, if I said it's 50 quid, people might come, but then you feel a pressure to put on something. They've spent 50 quid for tonight. Should I play up to any noises that I know the building cooling and I know where that breeze is coming from, but shall I say it's a spirit? I think it gets dirty whenever you introduce money. Any psychic who charges money, I immediately won't use, because
as we talked, early in the radio show where you're watching YouTube content and ads are coming at the start of your videos. What I perceive it is, app developers are trying to maybe cash in on the trend. If you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like trying to make these apps cashing in because it's a trendy thing now, and everyone's going wild over it. So now they're releasing apps and charging probably 5, 10, 15, probably more expensive in different parts of the country,
Yeah.
or around the world even. So, like I said to you though, the viewers that's watching this on replay and live as well, if you are seeing an app for £5.50, £10, however much it is, please do your research, because that research might actually benefit you in the long term. But then, Chris, my question for you is, do you believe in UFOs? And do you believe that they exist?
Yes. Short answer. I have no evidence, obviously, but I just think it's
think then that you believe in them, and what makes you think that they exist then from your prior knowledge?
Well, put it this way, we exist, and so if you were to stand on any other light in the sky, there's aliens, isn't there? Because we're aliens, and if we exist and the universe is infinite, and now they believe that it's a multiverse, then statistically, if one thing exists as we do, and it's infinite, then infinite us exist. Infinite lives already exist before evidence is brought into it. It's purely a mathematics problem. The only way there's no other life in the universe is if it's a hologram. So
Well,
I don't.
It's good to hear your take on it, Chris. But that's the thing, you could say, I believe in UFOs, which you do in general, but you can just build up your knowledge, your background about UFOs, and if you ever come at a time and a date because it's unexpected, where you capture a UFO or see one, don't delay in capturing it, don't delay in photographing it, because you might actually think in later years, I really did did a very good capture there.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it's with the same problem with capturing ghosts, that a lot of things are thought to be ghosts but aren't. You look up in the sky and see a flashing light. How are you ever going to actually prove that it was a UFO or wasn't a UFO? It's all just I saw a light in the sky. Now, when you hear about these time slips where people claim to be beamed up from their cars, put down, and they've lost time and they're in the wrong drive, they're in the wrong seats, and townsfolk have all reported it, I'm just immediately like, well, yeah, you can't fake that. So UFOs exist for me, but I have no actual proof. It's just hearsay. But all the hearsay adds up to me. And so
hearsay adds up to building a wider picture of it all, doesn't it? You could come to your own conclusion by what you're hearing. As it's factual. Then we go by the word factual evidence because it's not realistically proven. Factual evidence can build up over time, and as you build up your community on YouTube, and you've asked a question maybe in one of your latest videos, have anyone seen a UFO? Comment your experiences or what have you. And then you could go by what they're commenting and what you're hearing as well. And then yourself can build a wider view of UFOs. Because all the time, internet is your best friend when it comes to research. But maybe hearing it from friends, family, your viewers, anyone specifically that's got a take on UFO could help you in that research. In a sense.
I prefer on getting 100 stories about something and then finding the common thread, the Venn diagram that everyone says, that's how greys came about, isn't it? The alien shape, the grey, because it's so common, and therefore you think, well, there's got to be something in that. Then it's not like, this one had 19 heads and 30 tentacles. No, they all look like us, but had oversized heads, big black eyes. It's like, well, there's got to be something to that then, there's a majority view, which I think that's where the truth lies.
What would you do then if a friend or relative admitted practicing witchcraft? What would be your instinct after that admittance?
Well, you say witchcraft, and so that's not like the white witch magic of the land, is it? That's the witchcraft summoning the devil. I mean, I have no evidence that works, although I would say probably don't mess with it. But I'd probably like to record it and find out what they did. I'd like to see some evidence that it worked. I doubt it does, but I have tried voodoo dolls. I've tried drawing pentagrams on the floor and summoning things, and weirdly, we did get some things. I did put a secretly pierce. Now, where did I put it? In the blue tack doll of my teammate, and then an hour later, she started having agony in that area, and I was like, "Well, that's interesting." The first time I do a Ouija board with your,
it's a spooky turn of events, witchcraft as well, isn't it? It's very spooky.
Yeah, it's very old, isn't it? I mean, it's a very old when we had very little knowledge, and it was all about just cursing people by wishing them bad. But the power of the mind is one of the most, vast powers still on this earth. If you can beat illnesses with a placebo by taking a sugar drug, but your belief in it means that you get better, surely wishing ill on someone has an energy to it. So, it's a touchy one, isn't it? Because
so would you support then your friends and your friends, family, and your relatives, or even a viewer on witchcraft? Would you give them some strong advice, maybe some strong tips, and maybe how to get some support around that?
I wouldn't be so high and mighty as to think I could give them advice. I would document what they did. I'll be fascinated. You show me, I don't know if it exists, so I don't see with as a danger in something that doesn't exist. However, I would like to document and you finding out that it's dangerous. I'd like to learn.
Do you think a supernatural creature can be captured?
Now, do you mean spirit, or do you mean somebody conjuring something up by witchcraft or
conjuring? So like maybe a spider, or maybe any insects that could be supernatural.
Well, put it this way: have you heard of a Dybbuk box? A Dybbuk box is a lot of them. You see them opened online. To capture a negative spirit, there's a box. You put it in the box. You cover that in wax, and so essentially, then you bury this spirit under running water, and it's caught. Now, my problem is spirits walk through objects. How the hell would you ever get a spirit in a box? It just comes straight out. It doesn't make sense to me.
I mean, you could use like any sort of adhesive tape then to grip hold of it, and they could still try to find a little hole where they could escape.
No, spirit is like the Higgs boson particle. They pass through things. You can't, just like you can't capture love in a bottle, you can't capture a spirit. It's impossible.
Interesting. Very interesting. Because I think if you was capturing like maybe a spider or something, a spider would try and seek out any opportunity. And when it comes to a supernatural creature, capturing it and keeping it in a box or in something small, like in a glass, if you move a glass, the creature is gone, sort of thing. So it's all about capturing a supernatural creature without it escaping. But sometimes they can escape anyway. It's just how you go about capturing a supernatural creature.
Yeah, I don't really understand. I don't really understand the creature in question.
It can just be any creature. It's not a specific list of creatures. It can be any creature that might have supernatural supernatural beliefs or supernatural intelligence or supernatural abilities.
What's an example?
Well, supernatural ability, you could have ability to probably read people's emotions then in that sense. If a spider came at you and you instantly get scared like that, that could be a way of saying that's got ability to know that you're upset. Make sense?
Okay, yeah. I think I know what you mean. Like an inbuilt intuition about something. Like a lot of animals, they instinctually know what to eat and what not to eat, don't they?
Yeah, like that sort of way.
Yeah. No,
that's an example I can give. I'm no expert because I'm not a paranormal investigator myself. But my example is, pets would have to be trained. They know what food to eat. They know when it's playtime. They know when you're upset. They know when, when you're happy or like you have some good news. So it's just about supernatural as a whole, but in a creature.
Well, that's energy waves, isn't it? Everything in the known universe gives off a frequency, a vibration. And every feeling, like anger, for example, anger is its own vibration. You can walk into a room after two people have had a blazing row. It's deadly silent, and you walk in and there's just an atmosphere in that room. It's like walking into a creepy place and thinking something doesn't feel right. Your antenna picks up that vibration, doesn't it? And let's be honest, our bodies are the best ghost hunting equipment of all, because they've evolved over however many millions of years.
I think another way then how humans can justify a supernatural or energy waves, how you put it then. If you dropped, say, a large, not like a large object then, say a brick. If you were working on a construction site and you had a brick in your hand, you was about to lay it, and it slid from the ladder and it landed on your foot, you would instantly scream out in pain, because that's your receptors. It's like your nerve, isn't it? It's your nerves, and once that nerve shred or get disturbed, you can instantly feel something, and it's just acting in that moment.
Yes, but you could also have something wrong with your brain where you didn't feel that at all. The only reason that you feel pain is that your brain tells you it hurts. Have you ever cut yourself, not realize you've cut yourself? And then when you realize you've cut yourself, it suddenly hurts. I do it all the time at work as a printer using paper. I have paper cuts, and then I don't know until I pick something up and push it. So
it's like going through a thorn bush then. You could do something and you could fall into a thorn bush. It is, humans can pick up on signals as well as pets, as well as anything, because if anything happens to your body, you'll instantly know about it. And if it's only minor, like you said, you probably won't know about it. That is that possibility. But it's just about how your nerves are, because different people will have different nervous systems.
Yeah. There's some people, you just meet them and you instantly think, I just don't like them instinctually, or you might meet people and just get on instantly, and that's something that we give off. Scientists have proven that it's not just electrics that give off the EMF, the electromagnetic field. It's us. We give off our own, energy, and apparently, and it's been proven. I don't know what the studies are, but apparently it's been proven that our EMF field can beam out and actually be felt by another person. So maybe that's how people get romantic with each other. They meet a partner and think, I really not just you share.
It's the instinct that you deliver or have. It's just like if you was like a police officer, then you got to act on your instinct about what you're seeing in front of you.
Yeah.
You can't walk past it. You got to act at that time, haven't you?
Yes. Yeah. I've had weird coincidences
Chris,
like that.
Do you know what time it is? It is time for the following.
Oh, okay.
So, do you know what video we are about to screen on our second installment of Blast from the Past?
It's got to be from the past. Oh, my goodness. No, I don't. I can't. You caught me out last time.
Would you like to know?
Let's see.
Is it going to give you a brain teaser?
Yeah, tell me. Okay, so I am asking out.
I'm going to close this one.
Kimberly.
Oh, I'm not. Kimberly.
All of these might be meaningless right now, but... So all I'm doing is asking out for any spirits who are stood close by, if they want to make a noise, a light, anything of your desires. But we are recording. We will hear whatever you say if you make a bang or a noise. We are listening. So please speak. Well, this still said Kimberly, it said Anne, so it said names that might... In the past, it seemed to have come through later on.
Yeah.
It seems to be perhaps names we will get on the Ouija board.
Yeah.
So this is going to throw out bits of words, clipped syllables. See what happens if anything answers my questions in an understandable way. Now, this might be more for Ben's machine to pick up than anything. Yeah, I've got to set a setting. Ben, pick a number between 1 and 6.
3.
3, let's try this. You hearing that okay? Right. So it's probably down to review, but if there's anyone able to affect this app, which doesn't say words fully.
Where's my stomach? I'm trying.
Did that sound like said what? Hello? Yeah, it's like that. Oh.
Pure energy.
Is that Lucy? Oh.
Is the portal behind Lucy?
It was going off though.
Yeah, it was.
Are you prepared to answer some questions about the afterlife? Somebody I was talking to the other day said, why doesn't anyone ask spirits about whether there are jobs? So, are there jobs in the afterlife? No. And let me put it like this. Do you have boyfriends, girlfriends in the afterlife? S O U So behind you. I do. M
Soulmates.
Oh. Hey, that's cool. Soulmates.
So how... Sorry, go on.
Oh, Lucy again. I don't know why I keep calling you Jane almost.
It's alright.
No idea why. Ruth, is that you?
Hello.
Okay. It's good that you don't know.
Okay.
Spoilers.
Yeah.
Please.
Now, Ruth, you definitely have given us personal information. I have a new subject. This is Martin. Can you say hello to Martin? Sing? No. So,
I bet not.
can I ask some questions about Martin? Or do I... Okay. So does Martin have children? Don't know that one. Okay. Can you... Are you prepared to tap in like you did to Becky and give him some information, some word that would mean something to him? So that's pretty open. Okay, I think.
So then, Chris, what did we see on that screen there? Because it did look like you picked up some really good results.
Yeah, well, that's a good example of trying everything. I mean, I was trying 3 different ways. I had the Ouija board out in a locked off room with cameras on objects, hoping for trigger objects. We also had where it said some words on the ghost box. I can't remember what they were now. But so we've got one on the table, which is also a duplicate of the ghost box. So 2 apps that are exactly the same. We're thinking, will they spit out the same words in tandem, like we were talking about earlier, like a pre-programmed system? So
Like sequence, like a pre-programmed sequence.
yeah. So if it's saying death, demon, dog, and you're like, ooh, it's saying death. Are you a demon dog? And then the other app is also supposedly on random, but actually following a death, demon, dog. We're like, you see, it's called complete nonsense. So those 2 same machines are trying to disprove the fact that it's, try to say that it's nonsense, these apps. The other one on the machine, now when you get a word, you obviously having a human response to it. Whereas the second machine with the orange triangle on is Echovox, which only gives out bits of words, so no actual words, just R or you know. And the spirits could potentially play back using that those vibrations we've put out. I'm expecting like EVPs. That those noises are going into the atmosphere, and when we get on the repeat listening actual sentences, it's like the spirits haven't got their own body, have they? So they need the energy vibrations to use and spit back at us. It's all experimental.
It's like a transmitter as well, isn't it? It's like if he was using a walkie-talkie, you got to stay within that transmitter area. Otherwise, you can't talk through your walkie-talkie. So it's in a sense that investigation that we've seen then on screen. You do like a transmitter sequence in one way or another.
We're putting out to them in order for them to come back to us. I have a singing bowl. You hit it and go around the rim, and it makes a very loud ooh, and that's because they have no vocal cords. I'm giving them the energy, and hopefully later they will give it back.
But that is fascinating, Chris. That is really fascinating footage there. But Chris, what we're going to do though, we're going to go for a quick break, and when we return, we're going to be showcasing part 3 of Paranormal Radio. You enjoying it so far, Chris?
Yes, it's good fun. I'm enjoying it, my friend.
Are you excited to be one of the contestants of Paranormal Radio? Is it?
Yeah, it's an honor.
Are you glad to pick up that opportunity when it came to you?
Yes, I was very excited. I must admit. Yeah, it's been great.
Well, that's good, Chris. Do have a nice hot chocolate and a biscuit, as we will see you right after the commercial.
Okay.
And we're ready for part 3, Chris, of Paranormal Radio.
Yes, we are. Let's do it.
You're ready for it. You're eager. You're ready to get continuing on this Paranormal Radio journey.
Want to see what questions you've got?
Well, you're about to find out. So in the belief then of UFOs, aliens, and psychic powers, are they growing because belief in religion is dying? What's your views on that?
I think, come on. This year, the government came out and said, yes, there are things in the sky that we have no clue what they are. So, is religion dying? I don't think religion will ever die.
Do you think UFOs, aliens, and psychic powers are growing on that spectrum rather than religion?
Yeah, I do kind of agree with the idea that we're on the edge of more UFO knowledge, because I think this was a soft-edged, hey, look, we have seen things in the sky, and now it'll probably go quiet for a while. There's never going to be an open door of, right, guys, UFOs exist, we've had aliens. It'll be very gradual, almost so that you can't pinpoint when it actually happened. But I think that the other month, when the government said, hey, yeah, we've chased things that are beyond our capabilities, I think that was the most close you'll get to, yeah, we know more than we're letting on. That's not conspiracy theory. They showed us the videos.
Interesting there. Very interesting.
Yeah.
Because, people, would have a choice in, if I'm going into religion, that's my belief, that's my personal wish. But when it comes to aliens and psychic powers, it's quite a controversial, touchy subject as well, isn't it?
Yes, but we always put ourselves as the counterpoint to the universe, like how long we have been around is what everything is based on. But of course, we're just a speck, aren't we? I mean, the universe is so much older than we are, so the civilizations will be so much more advanced. And as you say, makes sense evolutionary wise to go a more psychic powered route. They can obviously traverse distances further than we can. They're obviously would be better than us. I mean, there will be civilizations that are amoeba that are not as good as us, but just as likely, if intelligence interplanetary beings are out there, they will be better than us because we can't do that yet. So yeah, I believe it exists. I believe psychic powers are possible, just not maybe as much
Not
as we would
maybe
like them
widely
to be.
known.
They're not widely known.
You said that you do believe in it, but because it's not widely known in terms of their psychic abilities.
I think on this planet, a lot of us have some. Now, whether it is we call it psychic, maybe it's, as we discussed earlier, an intuition that we don't really understand, so it becomes like a superpower. Because any medium will tell you, we all have it. I'm not special. It's just that I'm better at doing it. You know, it's a latent thing that we're all capable of. I'm not going to really pass judgment on that view, but so if it's just something normal that's inbuilt, I mean, some people are colorblind. You know, if you thought of colorblindness as a superpower, then
Everyone's got a unique talent about themselves, haven't they? You know, no matter how they are born, what their appearance is, you know, it doesn't judge that person, because that person can have very, very good unique talents about themselves.
what you have to remember about a medium, as much as you may think they're bigging themselves up, trying to be better than the normal civilian, to be a medium and to be out as a medium, that brings in all the frowns, all the "you're crazy", all the, you know, it's such a brave move.
I always remain this statement: you got to be true to yourself, and no matter how you look, no matter how you dress, no matter what you do as a person, you know, you're gonna carry unique talents about you, and it's just about being you. Let your full self come out. Don't let what people want you to be as, you know, be yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. There's only one you. Why be anyone else? If you're somebody else, there's two of those then.
You shouldn't follow a checklist, you know, of how to be, like how to tag along in a group. You shouldn't follow what they want you to be perceived as. You know, it's just about being you, standing up for who you are, and everyone is equal. And that is the key point. Everyone should be equal, and no, you shouldn't please somebody else for their own liking.
I mean, I, as a paranormal investigator, know there's a vast amount of people out there who, when I say I'm do a ghost hunting channel, just roll their eyes and they're like, "You're a loony. There's no such thing." And the people who tell me point blank there's no such thing have done zero seeing if there's such a thing. And I'm thinking, wait, you've never done a ghost hunt, never looked for ghosts, but you can tell me categorically there's no such thing as ghosts. Surely me, who's looked under that rock for 11 years, is the one to say whether there is or not. Do you know what I mean?
That's where knowledge comes into it, though. That's, you know, having a wider range of knowledge will put you in more, you know, more of that intermediate level.
Yeah, it's experience. You can't buy experience in the field, can you? Whether you're looking for UFOs, whether you're reading tarot, you know, whatever you believe, you've got to live it, and you can't convince anyone through words, as I was saying earlier. You just have to live your way.
Live your life, innit? Live your better life, and
yeah,
and let your dreams flow.
That you can reach as well. Always shoot further. You know, I'm on a podcast today. You know, I can't believe it. You know, the little kid who was sat in his bedroom thinking, "I'd love to do a ghost hunt, but it'll never happen." And eventually it's like, oh, Chris Whitehouse, he's got a team. He runs a team. You know, it's just like...
It's like false hope, isn't it? That's how you want to perceive it. It's almost thinking he's promising you a ghost hunt, but failing to deliver.
Yeah.
So it keeps you waiting and waiting and waiting. That is false hope in another sense.
Yeah, you just got to chase your dreams, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, if you've got a dream in mind, live towards that dream, and don't say "Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that." You can do absolutely anything. Yourself is the power, and that is something that you need to know. Yourself can change your future. You can never change the past. But
I mean, everyone struggles with that, don't they? We all look back and think, "Oh, that's really affected me."
Your past might haunt you, but it's just about forgiving yourself and being able to move forward.
The past's happened, doesn't it? The past has gone. You can't do anything about it, so why worry about it? We still do. But
It's just one of those instincts as well, one of those feelings. I could have changed the past. Everyone wants to have that power to change, that their past, but unfortunately, you can't, and you just got to make the days ahead brighter.
I've only just got out of the fact of worrying about the present. Never mind the past. This podcast tonight is like, oh my God, how's it going to go? But I've only recently gone.
It's your adrenaline as well. How
Yeah.
can I answer? How can I, answer these difficult, hard questions? It's all about that adrenaline. But when you're on here yourself, you kind of know it ain't really as bad as what I thought. But you just gotta experience it firsthand.
Yeah, you just anything you're afraid of, just do. I mean, I used to be such a shrinking violet when we started doing public events. I'd hate the bit where I had to say anything, Whereas now, I'd quite happily host a live stream and just
force yourself to do difficult things when you want to. Don't force yourself in that second because you'll just shy away from that. It's just about gradually easing in the bucket, sort of thing. Go ease your way into a tree house, not ease your way out of a tree house.
How long have you been doing this production?
Paranormal Radio. I started Paranormal Radio since 2020. It has been going on ever since, and I've interviewed many guests around the world. I've even interviewed some famous following as well. One of which is, I think, it's Twisted Realm Society. But yeah, I've interviewed quite a lot of guests, and everyone I interview will always have a different view, and that's why I do these shows, because I want yourself to have your views, because your views will be different to other guests. Your views will even be different to your team members and even family members. It's just about expressing your view, because you can't say, I'm going to answer these questions because it'll make myself feel good. It's just about answering them questions so then viewers can build up, more of a background to you and more of a background to how you perceive paranormal in different settings and different themes.
Yeah, everyone's got a different opinion, haven't they?
Adventures with Lost Soul Crew. Thank you
Yes,
for
thank
stopping
you.
by. I hit the like button and shared you out. Thank you, Adventures. Much appreciated. Hello,
you.
Adventures with Lost Soul Crew. And Adventures, want to ask you, how are you doing?
I think I've watched Lost Souls product as well.
Lost Souls wanted to ask how you doing.
Oh, me?
Yeah, how you
you're
doing?
asking him. Oh, all right. I thought you were asking them.
No.
Yeah. All is good. All is good apart from that. Now you've made me go wrong. I was going so well till then.
It's me, Vinny. Hello, Vinny. I think I've interviewed you before. Yeah, I think I did. I'm hoping all as well. Adventures. I'm hoping all as well.
Oh, I was just had my appendix out recently, and that put me down for a few weeks, to be honest. Yeah.
Ooh, that's great. But then, Chris, we will continue Paranormal Radio, and the next question what I will ask you is: in many countries, people believe in ghost spirits and dragons. Is this true? And why do you think the beliefs are so common?
Dragons, I have not heard of that one. But ghosts, yeah, obviously there is an afterlife. It's proving itself one person at a time, and but unfortunately, that amount will never exceed those of us being born. So we'll always be on the cusp in believing it. But I don't think we're supposed to know. Lower jaw.
Really painful adventures.
Yeah.
I'm hoping you're hanging in there, and I'm hoping it's going well, because that does sound really, really nasty.
Yeah.
I do want to give you my best wishes, Adventures. I'm hoping you'll pull through it.
Yeah. Ghosts, yeah, they're out there. I mean, people have believed in ghosts since, before ancient civilizations, Egyptian civilizations. And it's just taking us a long time to catch up, really, because we all became doubting Thomases. I think religion was a lot to do with that. We all thought, well, it was just religious hocus pocus, but actually it muddied the waters. I'm not saying religion is not true. I've met plenty of spirits who say there's a God, but I've met plenty who say there isn't. But the resounding answer upon religion is that Hinduism is the closest one. And all the spirits I've talked to say reincarnation is the actual system that we live in. So make of that what you will.
Yeah, it's quite an interesting view you have there. It's really, really good, interesting to hear your views on different topics that paranormal is. But do you believe then in zombies and vampires?
Now, yeah, in Africa, they have buried people, haven't they? They've buried people and then they've had to get them out. I mean, I've read about that as a kid, especially. Zombieism can be a medical condition where they appear to be like in a coma and are just misdiagnosed. But no, I used to worry as a child, what if you get put in your coffin and everybody wakes up 3 days later? What if that is part of the system of dying? You just have a bit of a reboot, like redoing your computer.
Oh.
But that's why they used to leave like funnels for a long time. They'd live like so if you were buried alive, you could shout out. So I think we put that to rest now. I think we know that the bodies stay dead. It's just a vessel. It's like old clothes that we throw away, that we wear, So no,
zombies and vampires might give you that shiver down your spine, doesn't it?
Not me. Not me at all.
It might give you that adrenaline rush.
Zombies are my entertainment go-to. Zombies freak me out, but I don't put them in the real world. No. Yeah, but I've not looked into it enough to say categorically, but I've seen no compelling evidence that there's any such thing as that.
Well, hopefully research can distinguish that, and hopefully it can be more in the press and widestream media. I believe in zombies and vampires, Bigfoots, and UFOs. Oh, thank you there, Lost Souls, for letting us know that.
Well, our latest episode.
Do you believe then in zombies and vampires and Bigfoot and UFOs? Let us know, why do you make that belief?
Our latest episode was on Bigfoot and cryptozoology. I don't know if you've watched that one, but I was presented with Bigfoot evidence, Mothman evidence, and the Dyatlov Pass incident, which was some sort of Sasquatch. And our next video pretty much is going to be my reaction to that, having studied it myself. So watch out for that one.
Well, see, when it comes to astrology, then, Chris, do you know enough about astrology? Do you believe
Yes.
in it as a whole?
Yes, I was a teenager when I read my mother's astrology book that I found in her cabinet, and took it with a pinch of salt. I've seen many programs like by James Randi who discounted it, but there's a major problem with astrology, and that is the universe is expanding. If you look in old astrology books that they're based upon, the categorized spokes of the wheel that Sagittarius sits between and Cancer sits between to mark your birth date way back when, well, those constellations have now moved away so far that they're covering each other. Sagittarius is touching whatever's next to it on both sides. So suddenly, if you're born on the 21st, 22nd, which is usually the cusp, you've now changed star sign, therefore rendering it completely useless.
I think it's like horoscopes as well, isn't it? Astrology to horoscopes. That might make a small, if not a wider range connection.
Well, astrology is the stars, isn't it? The horoscopes, isn't it?
It's like a fortune teller. I think.
Yeah.
I think it makes a smallish connection with astrology, horoscopes.
So predicting the future by tarot cards or by horoscopes.
Go looking for Bigfoot someday. Well, Lost Souls or Adventures with Lost Souls, apologies. It'd probably be good, if you've got that ambition. And with Bigfoot, I think, I do strongly suggest you to attempt to look for it and see if you discover Bigfoot.
And when you film it, don't film it through bushes. Go right up to it so we can all see the evidence. That's my advice.
I was born December 7th. I am a Sagittarius.
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 But yes, you
Pretty
probably...
good, the adventures. Pretty good.
But you won't be a Sagittarius for much longer as the universe expands.
But may I do suggest, though, if you are going to look for Bigfoot, please do bring some supplies, e.g. snacks, drinks, and refreshments, because that might take long. It might take a very long time for you to discover Bigfoot. But don't give up hope, is what I would say.
I mean, there's at least 8 Bigfoot around the world. When you look at the documentaries, they're all over the place, I've learned. I thought there was just one. But no, every country's got one.
That's what I mean. I mean, there's Bigfoot evidence around the world. It's about if you live near to that location, is whether you want to go out and spend a bit of time, spend a bit of research. I think, I could really go out of my way and maybe find Bigfoot. It's just about having an open mind. Because you can't say I'm never going to find Bigfoot. I'm never going to find Bigfoot evidence. You can't close the book. You've got to keep the book open. As they call them here in Florida, they are known as a skunk ape. I didn't know that. I lost all. I did not know that. Thanks for sharing that with us. But Chris, the question I will ask you though is: do you think? Why do you think, actually, though, that ghost hunters wear respiratory masks?
I have never seen them do that. You mean like COVID masks?
Like old habitable buildings. And so he was doing an investigation in an habitable building. Those respiratory masks would stop them from inhaling dust. Is there any other reason why they might wear a respiratory mask?
Nothing paranormal. It's purely for safety. It's purely the asbestos, the fibres from way back when in old buildings. They're hazardous. Yeah, absolutely. There's no paranormal tweak to that at all. It's purely health and safety.
It's just good to wear safety equipment, because whenever you're going out to an old habitable building, or whether you might be going out into more of a derelict area or derelict building, it's always good to have your safety covered. So then you don't have a week where you're ill and and having all that injury and breathing in things. So it's just about looking after your own welfare, I think, because if they have breathing problems, they need to wear them. That actually might be a good point there. A lost souls. That's a really good point to add there. That's why Zach Baggins from Ghost Hunters wear ones. That is true. I've not really watched Ghost Hunting or Ghost Hunters. I don't know if you're more about the program. I only watched a little trailer, a little episode, so I've not really followed that series. But yeah, thanks for letting us know about your knowledge there, Vinny. Do keep those comments coming in, everyone that is watching this live, because we do surely appreciate them. But Chris, here's a good question for you then, because obviously you told us at the start about your paranormal history and how you go into it. Is there a supernatural feeling that you do fear of today?
No. I guess the one would be being possessed, I suppose. But so far, we've invited such things. I think I would have been possessed in my early days when I didn't know what I was doing. But as for things like you're asking, we ask to be slapped round the face, and we don't do it in a pushy way. I'm just saying, I could see something, and myself would be able to think, have I hallucinated it? Okay, so it could be struck from a record. You were tired, you were drunk. I don't drink. You were whatever. But I would rather have physical evidence that couldn't be denied. If I was slapped round the face, I couldn't imagine it. It couldn't be something I did to myself by accident. So, no, I don't have a fear. I say, bring it on. You want to scratch me? Scratch me. Because I want to know for sure. I don't want some half-baked, wishy-washy shadow corner of my eye. I need evidence.
You want it real and true.
Yeah, and I've had it. Luckily, if you, I don't know if you've got it lined up, but the two bangs in the cellar video, there's that's the 1 minute where, you know, I controlled the whole building and got a response from a room that I categorically can testify had nobody in it. I went to work after that. More recently, I was the only one in work because I open up and I heard clear as day footsteps up the wooden stairs. It doesn't help anybody that I didn't record it because I didn't know it was going to happen. It doesn't help anybody that only I saw it because only I was there. But it helped me. It proved to me 100% like, wow, I witnessed something, which is what I got in from as a kid. I thought maybe one day I'll see something, you know, and I'll see something and it'll prove to me that there is something.
Well, that's good to hear, Vinny. That's good to hear that you feel the same way what Chris is telling us. That's really good to hear. But Vinny, do interact in the live show because we really like to hear your views. And anyone else that's watching as well, live or on replay. And may I also state, if you watch this far in the replay and you have any burning questions that this show haven't yet covered, please do reach out on White House Investigations on Instagram and other social media outlets, as they would be honored to have your questions or queries or maybe advice you might want to ask Chris about advice in the paranormal field as a whole that I've not really asked Chris on the live broadcast. Please do so, as Chris would welcome any communications, wouldn't you, Chris? He would welcome anyone wanting to contact with you.
Yes, I'd love to answer any questions. Yeah,
I do want to make that known in case viewers want to say, I do want to reach out to Chris, but I don't know whether he would appreciate us, messaging his social media feeds. So it's also good to make them aware that if they do want to contact you, they can. As I said, I have had the experience of being possessed. I have it on my live stream I did on the market. It's private, so anyone who watched it basically didn't affect them. If you do want to share it, though, Lost Souls, I don't know if you do want to share it, but if you don't want to share it, to me or Chris or anyone personally, you can do, because that might make a very intriguing watch. But
I would like to say that.
That is up to you.
Yeah.
Carla, what was the early paranormal experience? What was the early paranormal Chris alluded to the start of the program, or do we need to wait until the book comes out?
Yes, it is. It is written in my book, what's coming out around Halloween, hopefully. But as a kid, laid in bed in a bakery, I was awoken to having my covers whipped off me and then back on. In summer when you lift up your covers so quick.
Is White House Investigations, Vinny. So do search it up on YouTube. If you can't find it, I'll post a link in the description box after the broadcast, so you can just hop by and have a direct link to White House Investigations page. Thank you there, Vinny. If you do want to share it, you can also reach out to me on social media as well as Chris, because if you don't want to make it private, not private, if you don't want to make it public, that is in your right, and we do respect that, of course. But yeah, Carla Smith, it's up to you. It's good there, Vinny. Do support us because we really do appreciate it. But Chris, as you were saying before I cut you off.
I had my covers whipped off me like in summer when you waft them. So I felt the rush of cold. I look into the darkness, or the half darkness of my bedroom, and at the bottom of my bed was a figure floating with the position, I would say, of a gingerbread man, where they've got their legs and arms kind of spread. And it was thick as well, like that. They had thick arms and thick legs. And in a way, it reminded me of the silhouette of like the Snowman movie. The snowman itself, really big and beefy. But it was just like pure darkness against the half light of my bedroom. And I screamed. I screamed to my parents in the next bedroom, quite a way up the hall. And I screamed so much that I couldn't get any noise out. I was so scared. And so the next thing I did was pull my covers up to my chin and then over my head. And, for some reason as a kid, you think that your covers some sort of protection against evil. And I stayed awake until dawn, basically, and then went downstairs when the light came and said I had this horrible experience, told my brothers, told my parents, to which they didn't believe me. And there's more to that story because it wasn't just...
It's the unexplained as well, Chris. It's the unexplained. Nothing can be closer to the truth.
Well, the thing is that I've talked to previous and after tenants of that house of all ages, and they've all reported that was a weird place. From people who were 15 as a cleaners years after I'd left, to the person who we bought it off, who was in his 50s when he lived there. And this is a grown adult being like, oh, weird place that. And that just backed up my thoughts. I had nightmares for years in that place. I did dream of things in the night, which was a recurring nightmare of two figures that used to drift along the hallway from my mother's room, which seems to be where all the activity was in my head, although they never said there was any. But as a kid, I felt it. I felt the eyes watching me. I used to go upstairs to the toilet, hold my ears and hum because I knew that something could possibly speak to me. So yeah, a traumatic little house that. And of course, I have such little evidence to go on, but a weird story, a singular weird story. But it shaped my life. And did that come before discovering the paranormal book, or did reading about ghosts so much cause me to have that vivid, awake dream? I don't know. I was too young, but as I said at the beginning, it shaped my life. That
Quite
one night,
astonishing, isn't it? That night in question. It's really astonishing to actually know and be able to hear what went on that night. It really, really is mind blowing in a sense.
Yeah, and I obviously could never tell you whether it categorically happened or not. That's what bothers me. But after that,
619 subs. Congratulations there, Vinny, and I do hope you'll have more and more. You just got to keep pushing and pushing through as your sub count will build, and you earned it through your hard work. So please do keep putting through that content because you'll be pulling in a wider range of community before you know it. So
getting
keep at it and
subscribers,
don't stop.
Getting subscribers is just like the worst grind. You just got to put out your products and hope that people find it. But
it is an accomplishment though when you reach that 619. It might be small on paper because it's just digits.
It's bigger than I am.
You can just congratulate yourself and thinking, I am actually, my content is being shared, it's being watched, and I'm getting subscriptions from it. So it's just congratulating yourself from all your hard work. That's where I put it down to, because
every time
you can't base your focus on, if I'm going to get 800 subscribers tonight, I'm going to release another video. You can't work it like that because you should release it anyway. And when you put that hard work in, you'll see that end in finish line. So that's how I perceive it. Don't let subscribers or things like that put you off the main focus of your content strategy. No worries there, Vinny. No worries at all. But Chris, the questions I will ask you though is about like home investigations, which we will talk about after the next question. Can I drop my link? Yes, of course you can, Vinny. You can drop in the live chat. If the link doesn't publish on the live chat, that's because YouTube doesn't allow links. But if you want to share it to me, I'll share it after the broadcast, and then people can subscribe to you as well. But yeah, let's get to it. So how can you detect them poltergeist activity, Chris? And what is the best way to solve it without reacting angry or aggressive?
Well, you say poltergeist activity, so you must mean objects moving around. That's very noticeable activity that you cannot ignore. And I would say it builds from a small thing. There'll be small things that you are like, did I put that there? I don't remember leaving my things over there, you know? And that's what family spirits will generally do. They will nudge you, move your car keys, things that you should notice. That's not poltergeist activity, but we'll work up to that. So general spirits who want to make themselves known could very well move items. You think you're going mad. Eventually it'll happen so much you'll be like, I'm sure someone's doing this. But that's friendly, generally speaking. Poltergeist activity, science seems to have proven that it is an energy that teenage girls give off, generally speaking. It's some sort of, as we were talking about earlier, energy field. They give off this energy, and I would say it's a general normal spirit what's given that much energy from teenage angst or whatever you want to call it. They're the battery for it, that they're able to perform like circus performance. And you would, if you were a spirit and you didn't have the power to let the family know you were there, and then all of a sudden you were given this lightning jolt of superpower. Too right, you'd be throwing things around, you'd be showing off, you'd be like, I am here, I'm almost alive again. So how to deal with that? Speak out like you would to any ghost. Talk to it. You know, you don't think of it as a dead body that's moving around. You think, hey, that's a person.
It's just be relaxed, wasn't it? You know, like say he was in a coffee shop, just be relaxed and and let the activity flow. You know, don't raise your voice or anything like that. Just have like a calm and non-scared sort of voice.
Yeah, you need to remain in control. You know, after all, you've got the more power. You're alive, and you eat to have power. They have to find the power from draining batteries or whatever. It's just a person. They might be in a grump, but it's very, very difficult for them to hurt you. And try not to give them any grief, because you don't want to have one eye over your shoulder thinking what they're going to throw at me. You know, just try not to be afraid.
So in your personal view then, Chris, what is the connection between ghosts and demons? Have you studied the connection to be able to give evidence to the contrary?
I would say that's something I can't answer. It's something I'm still looking into. As we discussed, as Vinny discussed earlier, like Zach Baggins, he will say anything's a demon. I mean, I suppose some people would say that all ghosts are demons, but demon is just a term, a loose term that we've given things, isn't it? We did in our rituals video, we were trying to summon demons just to show that it didn't work. I'm not sure we succeeded, to be honest, because one of us was very ill afterwards. But I don't know is the answer. I think the word demon is a religious connotation anyway. But are there things that weren't ever alive? Can you create a demon from nothing by conjuring something up? I don't know. It still fascinates me. So I'm still searching that out. And I have no way of saying yes or
Chris,
no.
because when you build up that research, you'll have more of a definitive answer, and you could be mind blown by what you discover.
Yeah.
So it's all about having an open mind with your research, and don't give up. You know, keep researching and researching, and every piece of your research, the more you'll be fascinated. So it's just
that's what I'm saying.
You know, it's about absorbing knowledge.
Yeah, if you don't try and summon a demon, how can you say whether there are any or not? That might be a dangerous path to go down to find that, oh dear, there are real. But I am all for trying. You know.
So what is your top 2 questions then you would ask a spirit box? But leaving the normal questions behind, who are you, your name, etc. If you wanted to spice things up a bit in your investigation, what 2 other questions could you ask if you had to name your top 2 questions?
I have one question which suits the whole proving ghosts. What happens is I will say to my team around a Ouija board, I'll say to the spirit in front of them, I am going to pick a letter from the alphabet, and I want you to move the glass on the board for what I write on away from the team. So I'll go and write I say to the team, I'm going to write a letter on a board away from you. And the spirit, being a spirit, can come and look at what I've written and go to the Ouija board and push their hands to the correct letter. Okay? So that seems to work. There's no problem there. However, what I actually do is write a number instead. Well, you think, hang on, you said you were going to write a letter. Because what I'm doing there is I'm tricking the team members, okay? Because they're all expecting me to write a letter. So all their subconscious is probably thinking of a letter. Maybe their micro muscles, idiomotor effect is pushing the glass without them knowing that they're doing it, but towards the letter that they're automatically thinking. However, I've ruled all that out because I've got a spirit to come over, look over my shoulder and say, oh, he's wrote 9. So all it has to do is go back to the board, push the glass to 9. And there's your proof. I've put it through a filter of my teammates not knowing that I lied to them, and yet I've proved ghosts exist by saying I did write 9, and the spirit saw it because I've not touched the board. So my question is that what letter, even though it's a number, have I written on the board? And I also do the whole I'm holding fingers up behind my back. How many fingers am I holding up? Tell me on the board. But asking a spirit box, like you say, spirit boxes are pretty difficult. I guess I would ask it to say a particular word that you wouldn't expect in a ghost box. Because, as I said, ghost box are predisposed to be, I died and, something creepy. I would say bubble gum. If you were making a ghost box, would you put bubble gum in it? No, you wouldn't. So I'd say bubble gum.
Interesting. Interesting view there. I like it. I like how you asked something totally different that nobody have asked, because that's what Spirit Box is about. You don't have to stick to the same script, to the same sort of questions. You can mix up, and maybe you might get different responses that way. So it's all about just keeping an open mind in the investigation. I think you can spice it up, do so, because it's the results that's crucial, and that's the major part in that investigation, is having some results and different results each time. That's what mystery is within the paranormal, is keep that mystery going and flowing, because that's what keeps that paranormal flow.
I make a point of making the ghosts have to jump through difficult hoops to give me evidence. I don't want it to be easy. If I say to a spirit box, say death, and I'm convinced a ghost exists, well, I'm 100% going to get death through a spirit box.
Because it's good to challenge it then, in different ways or another.
I want it to be proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that something intelligent has interacted with me.
Understandable. Very understandable.
Yeah, so I get less evidence. I get less evidence because I'm throwing all the evidence out.
You don't want it to become easy, which is good, because as you go out from that beginner's level, you can, take it and you can twist it, turn it, and all the rest of it when you become that intermediate investigator. But as a beginner, you just want to keep it on a basic level.
Well, I don't see why. Because I would say if a beginner, as a teenager, goes out tonight, goes into a haunted house with his camera in night vision, if he thinks to himself, if I see orbs or if I see dust, if I see orbs, then I'm convinced a ghost exists. That's not enough. Yes, you're going to see dust. Of course you're going to see dust. But if you go in and say, I'm going to be convinced on day one that if I get a knock back in response to my knocks, why couldn't a spirit knock back to a beginner just the same as someone been doing it 30 years? You go for the big evidence. It shouldn't matter.
Well, it's good to hear, though, Chris. It's really good to hear your insights on that. But this is where it becomes more of important questions to ask you within the paranormal field, and it is to do with home investigations. Now, these are very important to ask because, as you know, Chris, scams are a massive, massive downfall in people's everyday lives, because scams will target you on a mobile, on an email, anything you use day-to-day life. And this is where home investigations are now a part of those vicious scams. In your time then, in your paranormal history or paranormal research, what are the top things to be vigilant about if a page or a Facebook page was advertising, home investigations, DM me, and then this person pretending to be a paranormal investigator is building up trust with that homeowner, and then later down that conversation they ask for like a downward payment. What is the things to be visioned about should that come about?
You don't let anyone investigate who else asks for money. All investigators are just waiting for a case. They're just waiting for the opportunity for free. It's a hobby. It's not a business. You know, I'm sat here waiting for someone to say, hey, I've got a ghost, come round. I'm not going to charge. I'm desperate. I'm desperate to go and use my equipment to find out evidence. If I say it's 20 quid, it's 50 quid, that's what they're after. You know, it's easy to...
Their passion is not for the paranormal, it's there for what they can cash in.
Yeah. As soon as money's involved, turn the other cheek. You've got thousands of teams who will come and give up their time, pay for their petrol, come and help you out. And that's what comes with word of mouth. If you go on some social media sites now, or whatever, I can have people say I investigated for them and is genuine. You know what I mean? I've got some sort of back catalogue of people who will say, yeah, totally genuine. He came and helped me out. And that's all you need. You just got to have that first few people put their hope in you and say, well, I've heard you're into this stuff. I don't know anyone else. And eventually you've got that person to say, well, yeah, they come and did mine and they were all right. I don't like the idea of someone saying, yeah, Chris came and helped me out. It only cost me X amount of pounds. That's disgusting. Just no.
It shows your passion, isn't it? It shows your belief.
Yeah.
Personal
It's
belief.
not my job.
Yeah,
This is my job, you know. It's my hobby, and I want to do a hobby for as cheap as possible. And the best investigations are getting into someone's private house where no hundreds of teams have ever done it. You know, we can all go and hire East Drive, what's been done millions of times. I want to go into your house. You know, I want to go into the listener's house where it's like, God knows what's going to happen. I don't know.
So what's your view then for a team maybe charging for like petrol then? Say if you was 600 miles from this team and the team is coming to your house, but you would have to facilitate the cost.
Yeah.
It's a controversial sort of subject, because what I would have said really is pay the amount of money you need to get to the homeowner's house yourself, and then when you're there and you've done your job about helping the homeowner, ask the homeowner if they want to donate funds to you, because then if the homeowner does, then he does, and then that's just another way of thanking you for your efforts and your help. It's just not great to mandatory ask for a bill to get you there, because you don't know how well that investigation will pan out, if you know what I mean.
I totally agree with you. Why would you take a case so far away? Why would somebody? There's a ghost team on every city, every village almost. It's like you don't need to go further afield unless someone was like, oh, White House investigations, they are the best, and I live in Scotland and I want Chris to come and do mine. But yeah, you wouldn't get up there. You'd either say, well, it's too far. I can't afford the petrol.
Yeah, so if it is too far and you couldn't facilitate the homeowner's request, you could do it. You could take it one step ahead and contact other teams. I think we've really got a homeowner that needs help, that needs assurance, and then you can just pass that homeowner to that reputable team, and then they can do it on behalf of yourself. There is many ways to conduct a home invest, but it's also got to come down to that costing. Don't really ask for a requirement. You've got to pay the petrol fund, the petrol fee, unless in real circumstances where they live far away. That is all right. That is a normal request to make. But you just got to look at it from the homeowner's point of view. They've come out to ask you for help and assistance, so you shouldn't turn it down unless you really have no choice.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, they need help, and that's fine. I guess if you did travel far and they offered you petrol money, then that's on them. It's down to the team, isn't it?
Oh no, Vinny, I do hope. Is it like a weather warning? or something that he's trying to say there.
Florida, yeah,
I
Florida.
do hope you you regain your electricity or your power as soon as possible. But yeah,
Yeah, good luck.
it is a controversial way to look at it because on the one hand, the homeowner wants help and the team wants to go there, but it is that challenge, that wall in the way. So it's just all about helping the homeowner to the best of your ability without letting the homeowner be disappointed or anything like that. But yeah, that's a really good way of investigating a home invest. But if there's one thing you can change, though, Chris, about the paranormal community today, what would it be and why?
Easily. Pareidolia, putting pareidolia pictures online that look like something, looks like a face in my curtains, looks like a face in the shrubbery outside. Yeah, looks like a face because that's what pareidolia is. Doesn't mean it's a face. It looks like there's a face in the moon. There's not. It looks like a face just means it looks like a face. It doesn't mean it's a ghost. And that is the most ghostly content. When I get pictures sent to me and it's like, oh, it looks like there's someone stood there. It's like, yeah, but there's not, is there? Because you can tell it just looks like there is. It's those people who don't investigate and see all the pictures that seem to be the loudest voice. And I would change that. I would educate them in, oh yeah, but it's probably nothing. Ghosts are not caught on camera as easy as that makes out. And that's what we need to change. And it is changing because now when I've tested the water to see other teams and I've put a picture of my own on that looks amazing, but I knew I created, they've said,
I love to see a database setup that teams input their findings into. That's pretty good thinking there, Carla. That actually might be a very good point to make there. That would be a very good discovery.
Para-unity gets talked about, and I have, from the very beginning, said, if we're all investigating the same place, why don't we all put our findings up and see where the overlap is? If we've all got the same names coming through evidence, surely that's worth doing. There's no such thing as paranormal unity. People want to keep their evidence for themselves. I write my write-ups on my videos, and I put all my evidence out there. When I ask other teams, oh, what have you done? They clam up. They won't tell you. I don't know. What are you protecting, really? I don't really understand it. So that is another thing. Yeah, in an ideal world, we'd all work together, but that's not how people go.
But Chris, what is your favorite to least favorite investigation then to date? What if you had to pick a favorite to your least favorite? What would you choose?
York bed and breakfast, which I won't name. Game changing, basically. We trundled along with question marks over every investigation, and then this one place, the spirit literally rewrote the rules for us. We used to believe that spirits were where they were, and that was it. We travelled from York back to Bradford area, had been harassed by this spirit. And it said it was going to follow us. It was going to kill us. And it was mind-blowing, the evidence we got in this couple of nights. And then we go to a cemetery to ask any other spirits how the hell we can deal with this strong force. And that same spirit pops up saying, you're here, are you? Opened a Ouija board. And we were like, damn it. And that spirit has continued to follow us around. And the only time it's gone quiet since is when we have booked to go back to his house. And I truly think he's going to rewrite the books again. And I do worry about what's going to happen because his energy was beyond anything else I'd ever witnessed. And this is a skeptic talking. This is a guy who puts his high bar, and I'm like, damn, he's beyond. He's proved to me over and over again. He's been in my house. He's been in around all the team. He's left his mark. And when we go back to his habitat, I think it's going to kick off. I really do.
Really fascinating there, Chris. Really fascinating indeed. But Chris, what we're going to do, we're going to wrap up the questions for Paranormal, but the show isn't yet finished. What we're going to do now, we're going to show you a service called Paraflix. Now, I'm not sure you've heard of Paraflix, but I do like to advertise it at the nearest opportunity because this service is probably have not been advertised in the way it should be on the mainstream TV. So I'm going to do it here so everyone knows what Paraflix is. So Paraflix is, and the base of it is a strictly and paranormal content service streamer. So what that means is the likes of Netflix doesn't have any original content that Paraflix offers. And what I mean by that is because I have interviewed paranormal investigators that have now got contracts with Paraflix. So what you see on Paraflix is their own original content, and this is just a little preview of what's on them. So you've got GhostNet Paranormal, you've got Is It Haunted, you've got a wider range of content, but that's just a highlight. Now, the reason why I'm actually highlighting Paraflix as a whole is because what you can do on here, I'm not sure if there's a functionality called submit content on there. So if you wanted to, subscribe to Paraflix and see what the streaming service provides, that would be a very, very good thing to do as well, because then you get more of an insight of what's on offer. But not only that, Paraflix offers a chance, for content creators. So say, for instance, Chris, if you want to sign up for Paraflix, you can submit your material to Paraflix. There is requirements that you've got to meet, and they'll review it, and they should get back to you within about 3 to 5 days, I believe. But if you do wanted to submit content to them and create original content to Paraflix, you've got that option on there, which I think is pretty good, because Netflix, Amazon Prime, and all the other streaming services, they do not offer functionality like Paraflix. So I personally think that is a go-to in your later years, or in your content creation, to maybe turn to Paraflix to reach a more of a wider range of audience, because I personally think Paraflix is becoming one of those popular ones, because it's just strictly based on paranormal.
Well, we are actually looking for like a place to distribute a documentary we're going to make. It is about our return to York, actually, that I've just discussed. We're going to hopefully make a 90-minute film, if you will, about the place. So we're looking for a distributor and funding and a place to show it. So that could be perfect for my needs, to be honest.
I do recommend it. I don't know if you can hear the volume on the trailer, but here's just a little trailer of what's to come on there. Not sure you're going to see as much on there, but as you can see, it's Paranormal Plus. So yes, it really is. It invites you in, and that's what I like on Paraflix. It invites you in, it makes you feel welcome, and it offers something that no other streaming provider have offered.
I'll definitely look into that.
Looking on the website, though, Chris, what do you make of Paraflix now that you know about the service?
Well, that sounds really intriguing. I mean, if it's a dedicated service and you can put your own content up there, I'd be worried about if it's up to us. How do we know it's not, as we said earlier, people just making it for entertainment? I don't know until I've checked it out. But having a place like that is surely good for the community. And
but what I would say, though, Chris, and I don't want to jinx it at all, but I don't know whether that submit content will be there forever. It's something that I can't answer. So I don't know how late you can possibly leave it. It is a bit of an uncertainty. But at the moment, that is still there, and that's pretty good, because I think Paraflix launch, I think the launch date was back last year. So knowing that they got that a year later, that means they are thinking more about the creators than other, like Netflix and Amazon Prime and all the other wider range markets. Yeah, so it's good, because Paraflix as itself is putting content creation first, and that is a big winner for Paraflix.
Sounds great.
And not only that, it really offers some really good price offerings. I don't know if you've seen that. So as I said, they're 25% off your first year, but even for a monthly pass, and you can even get a free trial, $2.96 a month.
Oh, that's cheap.
$25.94 a year. That is cheaper than the standard Netflix subscription.
Yeah, that's good.
And you can even cancel it after that 3 days. So you could binge watch the series within that 3-day period, and then decide, thinking, after a peruse, these creators have really got something to give in the paranormal community.
That's strong. That is really strong, yeah.
But yeah, that's just something to promote for Paraflix, because it is paranormal radio and it really ties together. So then, Chris, are we ready for the concluding part of Paranormal Radio?
Certainly.
Now, I got a very mixture of questions. I'm going to ask you questions about your website, and I'm going to ask you questions about yourself, beyond that paranormal and just about you in general. So what we're going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions, and the questions are as follows. How and when did you start creating merchandise for your webpage? Now, I find that a very good question to ask because people would only release, a wider selection of merchandise when they've got a wider range of audience to accommodate it, to get it noticed more. What was your views and thoughts when you thought, I'm going to release merchandise at such an early stage?
It didn't happen like that. What happened was my teammate who does Paranormal Lucy, she went off and did a TikTok or Instagram live stream, so completely different. That's who brought it to me. She got her Paranormal Girl beanies and all sorts of things, and people bought them. And I said, "Hey, that's a good idea." She goes, "Hey, how about? I mean, to be fair, we've always worn our own hoodies, as teams do. You get your hoodies, you feel a bit more professional." Yeah. And then she was like, "Oh, I'll design some things and show you." She showed me some designs. I tweaked it. Said, "Can you try and do this? Put the crucifixes instead of T's." And she goes, "Oh, I'll see if anyone bought them." And people did. And so we've only got, in the team, we've only got like hoodies and cups for my team. But then there's some things out there what I've got both our names on, the Paranormal Girl and White House Investigations. It was just for a bit of a laugh, really.
The reason why I was asking, because, if you start to get like a high demand, then would you have the stock levels to accommodate that demand in general? Say if you only did about five products. Is there a restriction of how many you could practically sell?
No, because what does it is people, it's like Amazon. You can like my book's coming out, right? I mentioned that, and what it is, it's like print to order. It's the same with the merchandise. Takes them no time at all. So when an order comes in, they do it and send you it. It's not even in my hands. None of it is. That's what they do for a business. So no, 300 orders come in, they do 300 orders. Makes no odds.
I don't know, ask because I was quite curious, because I did merchandise myself. I'm not going to deny that, but I wouldn't have 500. I wouldn't be like a business. If anyone had if 500 people wanted mugs, I personally couldn't accommodate that large order. Well, not at this early stage anyway. But it was good because you had some merchandise on showing us wondering if demand comes in, would you be able to accommodate that demand? So it's pretty good to ask that, just as a genuine point of view.
Yeah, but you're thinking about it in the old way, where you'd have to order in and have it in your bedroom in boxes or 1,000 mugs and think I've got to shift them. That's not how it works anymore. You don't have any stock. Someone says, "I want to buy this item." The people who are running the merchandise say, "Okay, I'll print you one." That's how it works.
Pretty good then. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I've not really come across that way of merchandise, and so that's a pretty good tip for myself. Anyway, that's something I didn't know. But yeah, can you explain then the reasoning then behind the write-ups? I did have a look earlier, and it was pretty an intriguing fascination. Can you explain the reason for those write-ups? Can you how does it make an integral part to your website?
Because that is the gold. That is what everyone comes for. What happened? Not just to watch a video. How did you feel? What did you think at the time? It's a total 3D immersion. I read them and I'm like, yeah, I'm really living it again now. That is how I felt. And that's my skeptical side. And then later on, you can look back and say, "Oh, do you remember when I used to be so skeptical about that? If only I'd said that was why did I not just say that is a ghost? Why couldn't I not admit at the time that was good evidence? Why did I have to throw shade on it and say, yeah, it might be something else?" It's just, that's what it's all about. I wish I had the time. It was just devoting the time to be doing the investigation, to playing the recording the next day, typing it, not writing it out roughly by hand, trying to keep up with the dictation, then typing it out and adding to that. It just took me weeks. I could do like one investigation every 3 weeks and I'd still be chasing write-ups. So now I'm recording them. I edit them the next day and it's done. It's so much easier. But the write-ups for me were the golden age. I just don't have the time, really.
It's like a
But yeah.
blogging, isn't it? It's like blogging.
Blogging, yeah. I do that in my personal life, but not to do with. I'm a diary
but
keeper.
when you're documenting it is more of a blog, isn't it? It's like updating your blog page, your blog post sort of scenario. But on your website, then, have you got a plan going forward? Is there anything you're going to introduce to your website? You know, looking back on your website, do you think it's been well made? Do you think you could have had different things in there? You know, looking back at it.
I think websites are done. I think websites are so 1990. Facebook is what you update every day. You don't look at someone's website. You look at their Facebook page. You look at their social media. Hopefully, you look at our YouTube. You know, so all that is a dusty library. That's my
a basic viewpoint there, Chris. I do like that.
Yeah. If I hear a ghost team, I don't think I must check out their website. I think, are they on Facebook? You know.
I like your views to different things. It is astonishing. It is mind blowing.
I did tell you at the beginning that I have a single vision and I know exactly what it is.
I know, but it's good because just be yourself, Chris. You know, don't have to be anyone else by yourself. I just appreciate your views to the different things that's asked. Mind blowing in a way. But yeah, so are you planning to introduce them more merchandise on your website?
I'd love to, but because I don't handle it and I don't know how to do it, I'm waiting for Lucy to decide to implement it. But yeah, of course I would. I'd love people to want it. I'd love to buy it myself. Yeah, merchandise. It's not even about advertising. It's just you seeing your name, seeing the name White House, and people mention it. It's like, God, I've actually created something. I've actually managed to do something that might live on after me. Do you know what I mean?
But if you do plan on releasing more merchandise, Chris, I would recommend a water bottle. I think that would be good. That would be a very fascinating and intriguing product.
Yeah.
Especially with the branding on the side of it.
Knowing me, it'd be in the shape of some sort of holy water bottle. Do you know what I mean? So you could either put a drink in it or literally holy water. It'd be themed devilish.
So then if people bought stuff from your merchandise store, then can I ask, where does the profits go then? Does it go within your video production costs, your productions? What's that side of it then? As you mentioned, is that like a third party sort of?
Yeah, it's a third party thing that I have nothing to do with. I leave it up to Lucy, and Lucy says that money from my sweatshirts and that will go into our film making the documentary. We don't make money. As I said, I don't charge for investigating. All our time is free. We buy our own equipment.
Hard-earned merchandise. It's good to put it back to that video production cost, because you look at that, I think we could go there because we raise enough funds to do so. You know, so it's just about people bought something from you. It's good to know that those profits raised will go into video production, which is good. It's fascinating.
I would give the money, buy a product back to the viewer. That's what it's all about, isn't it? I want to allow the viewer into what I do, be it through recording a film, be it through getting a better laptop so that I can make better videos more professionally. Yeah, but I have no real desire to make money off this. You know,
yeah, just a question I thought I asked, because as you mentioned, it's like a third party sort of production line that you have no involvement with. So I was wondering, would that funds go to the makers itself or back to you? It's just one of those questions I had to ask, because third parties, they might keep 10% of your sale.
I have no idea.
That can be one of the things. So it's good if any profits were made. It's good to see it back into that production line, because that's what really matters. And then you can look back at that fund and think we made terrific sales over the last 6 months, and we could go so much further as a team. So yeah, it's pretty good to hear your view on that side of it. But though, Chris, besides then your website, what are your top 5 facts that we don't know about you? and I think you might have 5.
Well, yes. Okay. So what's coming up? The book. I keep mentioning the book. That's my new thing. I'm excited about that. There will be a second book following on from that. I hope to get into podcasting if my team allow it, because I want them to be in front of the camera rather than me. But I'm also doing
Chris, if you had to, be the team leader at handling the press, you're doing a good job, believe me.
I don't think so. I think I'm the least charismatic person in my team, So, but yeah, it's
you can handle the press pretty well, Chris, and that's something I'll definitely say about you.
Oh, that's
you can
very
handle
nice.
the press pretty well.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah.
So, as in general, then, what are something we don't know about you in your personal life? Then, not book creating, not paranormal.
All right.
Nothing in your hobby world, in your personal world.
Not in my hobby world. In my personal world, well, I mostly hang about with my son half of the week, and we play Dungeons and Dragons together every week, and we have a weekly game going on, and we play so much PlayStation together. He's my world. He's my center of everything, and he's why I got my butt off the couch and thought it's not enough to just think about what I want to do. You need to do it. You
can't hold back from your ambitions, can you?
Well, when you've got a kid, you realise that you're going to die, don't you?
You can't be in the motivate. You can't be in third gear. You can't study. You just gotta do it, haven't you?
The more that I create and manage and try and do, the more I realise you can do anything. So yeah, hey, I do these things. Well, why don't you do a podcast? I can't do a podcast. Yeah, you can. You did everything else. Why don't you start a TV channel? Yeah, I'll start a TV channel. Why don't you start a radio show? Yeah, I did everything else.
Why don't you be a radio presenter?
Yeah, exactly. It's like I have done radio work in the past. Actually, I did work on local radio in my hometown, doing movies. That's something you probably don't know about me. Movie obsessed. I've been since a kid. I used to watch like 4 or 5 films in a day on a Sunday, and that was my day. I just absorb film.
So, what movies have you watched then, or is your favourite?
Horror. Always horror.
I knew that would be the genre of choice.
Even though most horror are the cheapest and nastiest, easy to make garbage, I always sit there thinking, there could be a good bit in this. There could be, and I'm always, it was all right. But I always, every horror movie I put on, I think, this could be brilliant. This, I've got such high hopes. Unfortunately, horrors don't scare me anymore because I literally go out in cemeteries talking to the dead.
Chris, I honestly don't think anything scares you. You just see anything head on. You don't think about your own feelings. You just treat it as if it's nothing. I just like that persona. It's a unique thing beyond.
Oh well, that's good. I mean, I take that as a positive. Yeah.
It really is unique, but it's ambiguous as well. See, a very ambiguous talent. But do you prefer then iPhones or Android? I don't know what phone you have, but do you have?
I am Apple through and through.
You're not a Samsung fan.
I wouldn't touch a Samsung. Nothing against them. I'm very loyal, and I will stick with Apple forever now.
So even if you've got like an old phone, say like an iPhone 7, you still have an iPhone 7 in the 23rd year, even though you've got to upgrade to actually get the most from your phone.
Mate, I have never had an iPhone 7 yet. I think my one I've got now is a 6. So to have an iPhone 7, what you're calling old, would be a dream. Yeah, I'm tight as well.
That is a good view. I gotta be honest. Most people think if I got an iPhone 6 today, I'm gonna throw it in the bin and I'm gonna get an iPhone 12.
No, my phone, I make it work. It's just like my laptop. I get the best out of what I have, and if I can't afford more, I don't waste my money.
You recycle until it couldn't be recycled anymore.
Yeah, until it's holding me back, I'll be loyal to it.
Well, that's an interesting view because I myself, when well, it comes to the point where contracts might play a major part in that as well.
Yeah.
Because when you get a contract, you can just change it every year and you're not paying anything more.
Mm.
But if you buy it outright, that's where the holdback starts to come. Because if you say for instance, you've got an iPhone 8,
Yeah.
or you got an iPhone 6. Just imagine that, for instance. And then 5 years later, you see all this iPhone 13, the glorious look, the glorious features. Then you think, I've really got an upgrade. It's something I just can't say no to. And then you get the iPhone 13, and 5 years later, you're in the same position as if you was for the iPhone 8. Most people would, have an iPhone and keep it, for forever, because the sassy features might not wow them enough to do it.
Mm.
But all right, and for teenagers today, then they would say that I've got to have the latest iPhone. It's just something that I've got to own.
Mm.
But yeah, I mean, the average iPhone user wouldn't get anything less for what they got now.
Yeah, but I don't understand that mindset really. I'd hate to be that mindset that well, I had a 12 last year and now the 13's out. Why would you? Because my phone, I know it's only a 6 or whatever, but the phones above that don't do anything else. They don't scratch your back for you. They don't put you to bed. They don't give you a bath. Do you know what I mean? It's just like, I can see my picture perfectly well and they can see their picture perfectly well. What's the difference? It's just that they're paying 50 quid more contract a year.
But it does improve camera quality. But, that's a little sniggle.
Camera quality. There's nothing wrong with my camera quality. A lot of my YouTube videos are perfectly good quality, right?
I'm not saying anything less, Chris. I'm just saying iPhone will make it bigger and better as the years go on. That's how they're millionaires.
Have you ever watched a film in 48 frames per second? Most films are in 24 frames per second. That's what you would think of a movie. But when you watch high definition, ultra high definition, you can see the makeup on the face. You can see the cracks of the prosthetic nose. It's horrible. You can go too far, and I think a lot of the highest technology, I don't like it. It's too. I just think it looks weird. That's me. Maybe I'm just old. It's so new. It's rubbish.
I like your view when it comes to technology. It is great. It's fantastic. But yeah, if you had to leave something behind then for 48 hours, whether it's your phone, your wallet, your car keys, if you had to leave something behind for 48 hours, what would it be and why?
Well, I just had to survive a day without my phone because I told you my charger snapped off in it. So it couldn't be my phone. And even though I don't like to use my wallet, I like to have it on me. So it's not that. Bed, sleeping. I would leave sleeping behind. I would rather not sleep. I wake up.
Hours, you could do that.
No, if it was possible. I mean, we're talking, But yeah, sleep is the thing that gets on my nerve. And eating as well. If I could not eat, eating is just a waste of my time. Eating and sleeping just gets in the way. I've got things to watch. I've got things to read, write, create. And I've got to stop now because I'm
in other words, Chris, what are you saying? Eating a sausage roll for breakfast is 15 minutes. You'd want to save it for something else.
Yeah, I've got better things to do. They say you spend 2 years on the toilet. I'd rather stop that. Anyway, I can stop going to the toilet ever. Get 2 years back. Yeah.
Oh, this is really fascinating views. I got to be honest. My eyesight is too early. It's because of too much screen time, I think, Carla. Screen time. You've got to have a manageable screen time, and then your eyesight might not, play up or run or something like that. But Chris, my last question I'm going to ask you before you get the chance to ask me something is, what do you do to relax? So without book writing, without PlayStation, without any of the things you've mentioned, what is the one thing you would do to relax?
Do I relax? I think playing the PS4. I think my favourite place in the world is my settee. When I want to go on holiday, I would like to go on holiday to my couch because everywhere else I go, be it on holiday abroad, be it a weekend away, just out shopping, I have less things to hand that I need. On my couch, everything is in reach. There's a remote control there. There's a toilet upstairs. All my collection of films, everything I need is around me. So that's where I relax.
So if you went on holiday, you'd want to take the entire house with you.
When I went to Wales with my family, we all went to a cottage in Wales, and I literally took my television because I didn't know what sort of TV was going to be at the other end. I literally took the television. Like 48 inches of TV. Yeah.
Chris,
I'm a control freak, you know.
When you go to a holiday camp, you've got to leave your hobbies behind and have a bit more of the old social monarchy like it was in the classic years.
Overrated. Overrated.
Could even showcase voice demos as well. So everything I possibly need in the run-up to an interview, I have to hand.
Yeah, but my question is, how did you get off? How did you start? Were you sat on the couch thinking, I'd like to put something on the internet, or were you already doing radio work, or what?
Well, I started YouTube originally in 2017. Wide range of content for about, I think it was for 2 years or 3 years. Then 2020, I had a total refresh, and I focused on the paranormal shows, the radio shows. And then 2021, when I started doing the urban explorations. So what I do now on this channel is urban explorations as videos, paranormal radios, paranormal radio, gaming shows, and I also do reports. And the report series are where I revisit a location and to show its current dereliction and state.
All right, yeah. You can't just be interested in one thing. If you realise you can do a podcast, you want to do 10.
I have got an interest in travel, urban exploration, paranormal radio as well, and people's visions and views. And I also like watching their content. Right. Any other questions, Chris? Any other questions that might be one of the lingering ones?
I'm tired. You've caught me when I'm tired now. It's been a long haul. No, I don't have any. No worries,
Chris, as long as you're sure, because it's your turn in the broadcasting chair.
Yeah, well, like I say, I want, the whole creation thing of I'm interested in when people get the idea and start up and decide to do things, basically. With me being such a controlling person.
With them, it becomes a natural environment.
Well, I am actually a quiet, reserved person in real life. But when you get me on a topic, such as ghosts or Dungeons and Dragons, I will assassinate you with passion. Do you know what I mean? It's like, but I just didn't know if you clicked on. Like I'll go off from here and I'll obviously go to bed, but I'll be quiet. I'll just, I'm not much of a chatterbox.
Talk, be yourself, fluent. Even about football, rugby, talk anything that's common. It's good. It's good to have a conversation. It really is. It's good to be sociable.
Well, I've really, really enjoyed myself.
It's a pleasure to have White House Investigations on the air. Have you enjoyed the show, Chris? And would you recommend me to any of your paranormal acquaintances?
I would 100%. I think it's been a great experience, and I have loved every minute of it, and I would do it again should you ask. Yes,
I definitely will. I definitely will. Do keep your social feeds open, Chris, as you'll definitely hear from me soon. But apart from that, Chris, what are you doing for the weekend upcoming? Have you got anything?
Spending time with my son. Again, he'll still be here. So we've got a big game of Dungeons and Dragons to play. We're going to get out to Skipton Town, have some lunch and walk around, look at the history, look at the pubs that I might want to try and get into investigate, and just chill out.
You sound really excited for that, I gotta be honest. But Chris, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, and Carla is saying thank you.
Thanks,
so yeah,
Carla.
from me to you, Chris, wherever you are in the UK, keep safe, keep well, and keep rocking your talents.
Same to you, my friend. Thank you very much.
Take care.